quick sound check. How are we doing? How's everybody doing? I wasn't actually planning to do a show, but I'm not feeling too good at the minute. I've got a bit of a headache. I'm not doing too well, so I thought, let me come on and have a quick chat with some of you guys while I sit around here doing absolutely sweet FA. So, quick sound check. Can you guys hear the sound correctly? Listen, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Riku's reliable. Riku's actually turning up. Friday, 7 p.m. Don't miss it tomorrow. He's giving me a little preview of some of his talking points. They're absolutely brilliant. So let me tell you, if you're new to the channel, tomorrow, 7 p.m., we are absolutely going in. Myself, Riku, The Commission, episode 1, yeah? And that's going to be our final thoughts, yeah, on Anthony Joshua versus Oleksandr Usyk after the weigh-in. We'll be doing that. So myself and Riku, 7 p.m., do not miss that. That's going to be absolutely, trust me, it's going to be a cracking listen. It's always good when we've got other people coming on as well, giving their opinions. Ultra's coverage is stacked like Omar Figueroa's sister. Oh my gosh. Do you remember that? Omar Figueroa's sister. Oh my gosh, look. That's weird. Come, I didn't see that. That came up in the auto search. Do you remember she came out looking absolutely ridiculous? I can't believe this man let his sister walk on stage looking like this. Do you know what I mean? I cannot believe he's let his daughter walk on stage looking like this. In this bodysuit. She looks like AOC. She looks like Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. Hey. I can't believe he let me center that. Hold on. I can't believe he had his sister come on looking like that. Anyway, let me move on. Oh yeah. So yeah, Riku, man. I'm so happy to have Riku on the show, man. I'm so happy to have him on the show. I spoke to him a couple of hours ago. Like, he's literally chomping at the bit. He's ready to go, man. Like Vinder Singh says, Omar Figueroa's sister's a bikini model, I think. Yeah, that makes sense. She's in tremendous shape. Everybody, thanks for joining us at very short notice tonight. Really, I mean, I don't know how long this is going to go on for. This is just like a little chat, really. First and foremost, I'll say this, right? We're going to go through some of the predictions, yeah, in the media about AJ versus Usyk. So we're going to go through. You may have seen them already, but some of the fighters, promoters, managers have given their views on who's going to win tomorrow night. So we can go through those in a second. Has anybody changed their mind after seeing today's press conference? I have to be honest and say this, yeah. I think that the press conference and the live media workout have just been complete non-events. What do you guys think? Do you think I'm right? I think I'm wrong. I mean, they're as boring. I think the press conference and the live media workouts have been as boring as I can ever remember for an Anthony Joshua fight. And to be honest, I think a lot of that's down to the fact that Oleksandr Usyk is not a big English speaker. So I think a lot of it comes down to that. But it's been absolutely dire, hasn't it? I mean, yeah. I mean, it's been... Quazim Din says, Rot's good, Ultra. So you didn't chuck yourself out of the window then after listening to Jenny Akio. Oh my God. I'm not in the best of form at the minute, let's put it that way. But yeah, no, I'm just, do you know what? To be honest, let me tell you something. It's a combination. I'm just tweeting out that I'm live now. One sec. It's a combination of bad journalism. Let me tell you something. I almost feel very bad for Anthony Joshua because the dude's been asked the same fucking questions, right? 150 times a day by the same idiot journalists. And the worst thing is, right, about it, they're not even asking him so much about Usyk. A lot of the questions are about Tyson Fury. Do you know what I mean? A lot of the questions are about Tyson Fury. And you know what? I started to feel for AJ. He did an interview a couple of weeks ago with Kugan Cassius. You may have heard me lay into Kugan Cassius for this. He did an interview with Kugan Cassius. And it was a 20-minute and 30-second interview. And Kugan Cassius asked Anthony Joshua one question about his opponent, Oleksandr Usyk, and he literally spent the rest of the 19 minutes asking him about Tyson Fury. You know, if you're anti-Joshua, yeah, and you're hearing these guys consistently talk about another fight, consistently talking about Tyson Fury, like you would like sort of want to go through us off of a bridge, wouldn't you? I have to say, it takes a lot to make me feel sorry for anti-Joshua, given that he's a multi-millionaire with an incredible physique, a huge package, probably in the midriff area, probably harems of thousands of women waiting to drop their, waiting to sleep with him at a minute's notice. So it takes a lot. It takes a lot for a bald-headed, overweight, crusty-ass, light-skinned person like myself to feel sorry for someone like Anthony Joshua. But when I see him in his interviews and he gets asked the same questions, they asked him about the Fury fight. And to be fair to Anthony Joshua, yeah, he's pretty much done all he can do, really, with the Fury fight, isn't he? I mean, can't really blame it on him for the reason why the Fury fight didn't happen, did he? So to be asked those same questions again, it must be absolutely nauseating. Look, here's an article from BBC. They're asking him about Tyson Fury. Oh, surprise, surprise. Look, bad journalism, Steve Bunce. These two go hand in hand, don't they? Bad journalism and Steve Bunce. Bad journalism and Steve Bunce go together like peanut butter and jelly. Bad journalism and Steve Bunce go together like baked beans and toast. Bad journalism and Steve Bunce go together like eggs and bacon. Sean Edwards is saying he wants to come on. We'll see. I'll see how I feel. I've got a thumping headache at the minute, so we'll see. I might hand out the link in a bit and see if anybody wants to come on. So just give me a sec with that. But yeah, do I need Tyson Fury on my record? I need it. Joshua tells Steve Bunce on the 5 Live Boxing podcast. Fight good fighters and they bring the best out of you. We need it for boxing. Blah blah. I feel sorry for this guy asking the same, answering the same questions time and time again. So I feel sorry for Anthony Joshua. Not many people are asking him about his opponent right now. Do you get that thing? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, not many people. Well, I just want to say, maybe I've phrased that wrong, but there's a lot of talk about the guy who he isn't fighting this weekend, and he's in a tough fight. Yeah, so I find that a little bit, it's almost shades of the Ruiz fight, isn't it? When they were all talking about Wilder, it was a little bit. They're showing Usyk a little bit more respect, but it was a bit more like a bit reminiscent of the Ruiz fight, when all they did is talk about flipping Deontay Wilder. I don't think we're going to see AJ and Fury next anyway. I think one of them is going to get beat. I think either Joshua's going to get beat on Saturday, or Fury's going to get beat in a few weeks' time. Right now, I'd have to put good money on Fury getting beat in a couple of weeks' time, in my opinion. Out of those two, if one of them two's taking a loss in the next couple of weeks, Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua, I will put solid money on it being Fury. Just think that guy's in a big load of trouble, all kinds of distractions going outside the ring. His wife recently gave birth. They nearly lost their child. He was in fucking Haye Children's Hospital while they were trying to resuscitate his child and save his child's life, and all sorts. All sorts has been going on with Fury. It's been stop, start for a while. Deontay Wilder's had 2 clean caps back to back. So I might as well go on record now as saying, listen, honestly, I can really see Tyson Fury getting knocked out by Deontay Wilder when they fight in a couple of weeks' time. And I think if one of them do lose, I think it's going to be Fury's the one who's going to be taking the L. So that's what I'm thinking regards to that. I definitely don't think AJ and Fury are going to be fighting next. I just don't think that's the kind of deal that's going to happen. Let's go through some stuff. Right, let's go through some other stuff. So I've got a splitting headache here. Let's go through some predictions. Who are the boxers predicting? Let's have a look at Dillian Whyte, the can man. Jesus Christ. Let's have a look. I know you love a bit of the can man. Let's have a look here. I think it's a great fight, but in my personal opinion, I think Joshua will stop him in the first 5, 6, or 7 rounds. So there you go. Dillian Whyte thinks that AJ is going to knock out Usyk in the first 5, 6, or 7 rounds. Who would you pick if Dillian Whyte was to fight Oleksandr Usyk? Guys, who would you pick in that fight? Dillian Whyte versus Oleksandr Usyk. I think I know who wins that fight, but who would you pick? Dillian Whyte, Oleksandr Usyk at heavyweight. Who would you pick to win that fight and how? But Dillian Whyte predicts that Anthony Joshua will knock him out inside the first five, six rounds. He says, Dillian says, hopefully he goes back to the old him and starts pressing Usyk and being the bigger, stronger guy and starts backing him up and starts hitting him with stuff early. I think he can get the job done early. There you go. The Sun have even given us a little poll. AJ or Usyk. There. Let me put the kiss of death on AJ. There you go. Let me put a kiss of death on AJ in this poll. Let's have a look here. Tyson Fury. I think he walked straight through Usyk. People are trying to build it up as a scary fight, but he didn't have the power to hold cruiserweights like Maris Bradis or whoever else he fought. That's classic Fury, really, isn't it? Look at TMG. TMG says White's prime is gone. I didn't even know Dillian Whyte had a prime. When was Dillian Whyte's prime then? TMG. TMG saying White's prime is gone. When was Dillian Whyte's prime? I never knew he had a prime. Dillian Whyte, he had Amazon Prime. It's about the only prime he ever had. Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime. TMG's one of my. Do you know this guy TMG? Do you know this guy has been with me like, oh my gosh, under all kinds of names and different aliases for like 5 years. This guy's been with me since day one. But he says when he beat Dave Allen. Fucking hell. Dillian Whyte's prime. You lot are making me laugh, man. I've got a splitting headache, man. Right. Michael Hunter's prediction. Look, and Michael Hunter's fought Usyk, obviously. He says, I don't think Anthony Joshua beats Usyk unless he knocks him out. I think he said this a couple of months ago. This is heavyweight boxing, so there's always going to be knockouts. Usyk is strong enough, and he's an Olympian and all that. He has all the accolades and attributes to do so. So he's predicting Oleksandr Usyk there, Michael Hunter. Interesting, because I think he was out on his feet against Usyk in that last round. And that's funny, because you talk about Usyk's power, and most people like me are saying there are question marks over Usyk's power. Usyk had Michael Hunter out on his feet in round 12, right? Michael Hunter got him with Alexander Povetkin. One fight after Anthony Joshua. Michael Hunter never was. Was Michael Hunter ever really seriously hurt when he got in the ring with Alexander Povetkin? No, he wasn't. Was Michael Hunter ever seriously hurt when he got in the ring with the great Martin Bakole? I'm not sure he was. Usyk fucking hurt him in that fight. So we'll have to wait and see about that. Interesting pick. Oh, here we go. The pick you've all been waiting for. Eubank Jr. He says Usyk is extremely smart and certainly can box. Well, there you go. Usyk straight away is two things that Chris Eubank Jr. certainly isn't. Smart and he can box. But I just don't think he has the size to beat someone like Anthony Joshua. And Anthony has shown that he is smart too. He demonstrated that in the rematch with Rahim where he boxed really well. So personally, I would fancy Anthony Joshua to win that fight. So that's Kubrat. That's a Chris Eubank. I don't know why I call Chris Eubank Kubrat Pulev. John Fury is a complete waste of time. Is anybody getting like sick and tired of seeing John Fury? Like, I'm being honest. Like, listen, personally, I don't agree with the whole Mickey Theo calling him out thing. I don't understand it. I don't know why, and I don't understand that. So when it comes to the Mickey Theo John Fury thing, I'll side with John Fury on that because I have no idea how that started, why Mickey Theo's calling him out, chasing him up and down. I don't understand what the point of that is, right? So on that respect, I'll side with John Fury on that. But fuck John Fury. I mean, this guy, man, he's everywhere, isn't he? He's everywhere. He's on more TV shows than Graham Norton. Fucking hell. Everywhere you look, it's like John Fury giving his opinion on something. Jesus fucking Christ. Enough of John Fury. I don't give a shit about John Fury no more, man. Let's hear it. He thinks Anthony Joshua will walk straight through Usyk. Usyk won't be able to hit hard enough to bother him because he's too small. He'll walk straight through. If you listen to Shevin says John Fury is British LeVar Ball. I think that's a little bit unfair, Shevin, because Tyson Fury is like a once in a generation heavyweight in terms of the way he moves, yeah. Subject to how big he is. So I would disagree with you there. Whereas like Lonzo Ball is like complete, you know, Lonzo Ball didn't live up to the billing, whereas Tyson Fury did live up to the billing. But I can see why you would say that. British LeVar Ball. Sergey Kovalev. Is it interesting? Oh, God. Sergey Kovalev putting the kiss of death on Usyk. He says, Usyk will defeat Joshua. 10,000% place your bets. Well, there you go. Sergey Kovalev is picking Usyk to win. Then you can guarantee Usyk's getting smashed up in a couple of rounds on Saturday night. Sergey Kovalev couldn't pick his nose. Oh, here we go. Here's the real kiss of death. Are you ready? Here's the real kiss of death. David Haye. David who? I tell you what, whoever David Haye goes for, David Haye is like Alien versus Predator 2. Whoever wins, we lose. Do you know what I mean? Joe says Kovalev hates black people with a passion. He'd never pick AJ. But see, I've heard this, that Kovalev's racist, but how come he had a black trainer for most of his professional career? Well, certainly the peak of his professional career, he was trained by a black person. And then he got trained by another black person in Buddy McGirt. So if Sergey Kovalev hates black people with a passion, why does he keep hiring black trainers? That don't make no sense. David Haye, here we go. He's predicting AJ. Oh, AJ fans. AJ fans. It's time to panic. David Haye is picking AJ. Time to panic. Time to panic. He says AJ 100% inside 6 rounds. If it does go past 6 rounds, it's because AJ wants it to go past 6 rounds. I might have to change my prediction. Aaron Patterson says David Haye is the biggest kiss of death since Jada Kiss. The biggest kiss of death since Jada Kiss. That's a good one, man. That's a good one. You guys out here spitting bars, man. You guys out here spitting bars. Hey, listen, don't let, if you're in, Shevin says, I'm going Usyk now. If you're in Anthony Joshua's camp, don't tell him that David Haye's picked him to win. Don't tell him. Hold on, people are tweeting me shit. What are they tweeting me? Frank Warren shit. Why are people tweeting me Frank Warren shit? I'm on the Frank Warren payroll. Oh, and they're even making Billy Nelson jokes on Twitter. Where is he, man? Where's Billy Nelson at? Been looking for Billy Nelson on Twitter. Listen, Billy, if you're listening, me and you, Billy Nelson, let's get it on. Hampden Park, yeah, in front of 60,000. I'm up for it. If you're interested, call my promoter, Frank Warren. Let's get this on, Billy Nelson. Stop running from me. Stop hiding from me. Let's give the people what they want. I'm willing to come up. I'm willing to come up all the way to £450 to fight you, Billy Nelson. Let's get it on, Billy. The king. Let's get it on. Get it signed. It's the fight everybody wants. Let's have a look. Tony Bellew. You know who Tony Bellew's? Tony Bellew's picking. I think Anthony Joshua's speed, power, and perseverance will be what catches up with Oleksandr Usyk. I wish he would stop fighting my friends because I want to support him. Like, Tony Bellew is such a name dropper, isn't he? Good old Tony. He's such a name dropper. Like, he has to mention that Anthony Joshua's his friend. Who else? Like, you know these people that they're frigging name droppers. Oh, he's my friend. Oh, I know him. Like, I'm trying to think of somebody. There's somebody like that, yeah. There's somebody like that I can't remember. But there's somebody like that. But every time they're on IFL TV, I know you guys are going to give me the name. Every time they're on IFL TV, it's, oh yeah, I know so-and-so, and so-and-so is my friend. There's somebody like that. Right, let's go through. Frank Warren. Let me tell you, Frank Warren was actually used to be quite a good predictor of fights until he predicted that Daniel Dubois would do a job on Joe Joyce. Who else did he pick? He also got another prediction terribly wrong as well. So, yeah, my boss there, Frank Warren. Let's have a look, see what he says. He's sitting on the fence, you know. Look at this. Frank reckons Usyk will get the decision if it goes 12. That's what he thinks. He thinks if it goes 12, Usyk can get the decision. There's no chance that could happen. The fucking, look, the ref, Howard Foster is the referee. Look. Howard Foster's a referee, isn't he? So people are saying Usyk's going to get a decision, yeah? But they've already got Howard Foster as one of the refs. So who do you think Howard Foster's card's going to be for? Who do you think? Do you think there's any way in hell? Here we go. Meet the judges. I know there's a Ukrainian judge as well, and there is Steve Weisfeld. I don't really follow judges, right? But they say that Steve Weisfeld is rated as like the best referee in the world. Sorry, is it a referee? So Steve Weisfeld is rated as the best judge in the world or something, right? That's what they say. Let me shut the window because there's some muppets out there. One sec. Steve Weisfeld. So you've got a Ukrainian judge, you've got Foster, and you've got Weisfeld. Well, let me shut the front row and balcony. 1 second. Bunch of fucking wankers outside. What must be happy hour at Wetherspoons. For those people asking when am I moving, not for another 6 months. The plan is to stay here for another 6 months, and then move in the summer. In terms of money was never an issue. We could literally move to the sea tomorrow. Money's no problem. But there's a few things that are going on, and I'm going back to the boxing gym next week. October the 1st, I think. I'm back in the boxing gym. First time in 2 years I'm planning to be there. October the 1st. Listen, double KO. I'm going to get KO'd, yeah, out on the mats. I'm probably not going to go in the ring. I'm not going to step straight into the ring after 2 years out, but yeah, and I'm going to get KO'd out on the mats, and then probably going to get KO'd by coronavirus shortly after. But yeah, October the 1st, I'm back in the boxing gym. Let's have a look. So yeah, what were we saying? Meet the judges. Yeah, so Frank Warren, what's he talking about? What's he talking about? Decision. Let's go through these predictions. Luke Campbell. This is interesting. Oh, just shut the fuck up, Shepard. What the fuck is wrong with you, man? What's wrong with this dude, man? Right, Luke Campbell, man. He says he go for AJ. Joshua has got AJ has got quicker hands. I have to say, in his recent fights, that lead left hook looks pretty quick. I have to say, but Joshua's got quick hands and is a big, strong heavyweight. So if he imposes his strengths, I think he will win the fight. If he sits off, it could be Usyk's night. I can't see Usyk wanting to get involved in a big, strong heavyweight like Joshua. Okay, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. Sonny Singh's asking, when are we going to do another moving stream? Do you know what, Sonny? It could be sooner than you think, but it depends on the numbers. Like, we're only doing 50 right now as it is. So can you imagine how many numbers a house share move would do? It wouldn't do very big numbers, so we'll have to bump the numbers up first. Right, that's it. I think that's pretty much everybody else. Let's see if there are any more predictions. I'm looking at this TalkSport article. I think all they've done is just basically copy everybody. Yeah, all they've done is copy. Yeah, they've literally copied. Oh, does anybody hear Johnny Nelson's prediction? Let's hear it. Johnny Nelson's going for Anthony Joshua. Surprise, surprise. I think Anthony Joshua will be too big, too strong, too sharp, and too aggressive. Blah, blah, blah. Right. Ebony Bridges. Anybody want to hear Ebony Bridges' prediction? She's picking Anthony Joshua. She thinks AJ is going to be too big, too strong. I think there's a joke in there somewhere, but like I said before, I'm in the social media ICU, so I can't make that joke anymore. Daniel Dubois is going for Anthony Joshua to win. Joseph Parker is going for it. Let me tell you one thing as well. Joseph Parker, that's how I think this fight could end up like, potentially. Honestly, I think this fight could end up being a stinker, I hope I'm wrong about that, but I really do believe that this fight could end up being a stinker. With like Usyk knowing early on that, because once you get hit and you feel the power, it's different. Usyk might feel the power and think, geez, get real tentative. And then he just turns into sort of Parker and AJ, with AJ chasing him around the ring and Usyk being elusive enough, to get by, get out, and just get out with the decision. And then he can say, look, I did 12 rounds of Anthony Joshua. I moved up from cruiserweight and never got knocked out. And he'll get another title shot again somewhere. Gary Harrison says, fucking hell, how was Parker ever a champion? The worst champion in history. Yeah, but Joseph Parker was just, Jesus Christ. People giving him a chance to beat AJ and shit. Jeez, that guy is definitely one of the most overrated champions I've seen in a long time is Joseph Parker. My Lord. He didn't even beat Andy Ruiz anyway. I watched that fight. I don't think he beat Andy Ruiz. Bit of a hometown decision, in my opinion there. Closest, yeah, but if that fight was anywhere else other than New Zealand, he wouldn't have been world champion in the first place. Simple. Evander Holyfield is picking Anthony Joshua to win. George Groves is saying 50. Let me hear Carl Froch. Carl Froch is one of them guys that you know with Carl Froch, right? Carl Froch ain't afraid to pick against Anthony Joshua. You know that? Carl Froch is strange, isn't he? It's strange because he knows AJ. He must know him quite well because they both used to train EIS quite a lot, innit? So you'd think he knows a lot about Anthony Joshua. Both would have spent time in the EIS together, surely. So you think, you know, obviously both shared the same trainer because McCracken was basically AJ's secret trainer for all those years, right? McCracken was AJ's secret trainer because he was training the amateurs or something and there were some rules. So they used to pretend his coach was Tony Sims, but they used to sneak up to the EIS and and get trained by McCracken. So they both shared the same trainer. But Froch doesn't give a shit. He'll pick against AJ every time. But he's predicting AJ in this one. He says, an even bigger, heavier, more solid, fresher heavyweight like AJ, landing more effective shots on the target. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he's going for Joshua. All right, there you go. I think that's it on the predictions. I don't think there's anything. I think we've literally done all of them. It's just quick to check to see. Vasily Lomachenko, we saw that today. Vasily Lomachenko is basically not sure. Joe Joyce thinks that Anthony Joshua will get to him sooner rather than later. Bob Arum, who's always wrong. When was the last time Bob Arum got a big fight prediction right? Jeez, Bob Arum. I think the last time Bob Arum got a fight prediction right, what was it? Sorry, that's my fan. That's my Dyson fan. I think the last time Bob Arum got a prediction right, black people weren't allowed to stand up or something. We had to sit down in the back of the bus, didn't we? It was civil rights. Talking 79, 80, you know what I mean? Bob Arum. Talks rubbish. Peter Fury says, Usyk's very dangerous. It's not a walk in the park. Forget cruiserweight. This guy, he's had a couple of fights in the heavyweight division. He's adjusted. He's put the necessary weight on. Okay, that's interesting from Peter Fury. Max Kellerman, yeah, who recently got off. They're saying that he got off from First Take by Stephen A. Smith. No one knows if that's true or not. Stephen A. Smith denied it, but people are saying that the reason why Max Kellerman got off from First Take is because Stephen A. Smith wanted him out. Let's have a look. Max Kellerman says, I don't know that Joshua beats Usyk. I think Usyk is a marquee fighter. In my own mind, he's a marquee fighter. With all the best fighters in the world, especially the ones who aren't huge punchers, it's the quickness of their boxing brain that sets them apart. Usyk thinks fast. Actually, to be honest, I think that's a very, very good point, yeah, that Max Kellerman's made there, like I said before. It's going to be interesting with Anthony Joshua because, like I said before, he's big and he's strong. I don't think, though, like I said, I don't think he's an elite level craftsman like Usyk is, you know. And I just don't think he's not an elite level craftsman like Usyk. So if he can't start boxing Usyk in and cutting him off, it could be a long night for him, you know. You never know, You never know, like, Usyk could turn up because boxing's on the night and make Anthony Joshua look real bad in this fight. You know, like make him look real bad in this fight. Because I have to stress that Anthony Joshua has never ever stepped in a ring with anybody who can move and has the footwork like Usyk does, and the trickery that Usyk. He's never fought anybody like that before, you know. So we'll have to wait and see, like, you know, Usyk's never fought anybody like Anthony Joshua. But I'm just saying, like, we talk about the footwork, and I hate to use the word boxing IQ, right? But if you look at the way Oleksandr feints, sets up his shots, and creates angles, Anthony Joshua has never seen anything like that. So if he's not able to cut Usyk off, if Usyk has a game plan for that, and Usyk is able to create angles on Anthony-Joshua, avoid the right hand of Anthony-Joshua, and to slip, ride, and roll under shots. He could be meant to look stupid. He could be, you know. You never know. You know, Sonny Singh, I got your email, Sonny, but you know what? I'm not checking that email account anymore. So I need to, if you can do me a favor, because I haven't got your email address on my other account. It's ultratechsports with an S at gmail.com. If you forward me all new email to ultratechsports with an S at gmail.com, then I'll respond. I got it, but I don't respond from that account anymore. Yo King's here. Yes, Yo King. Yo King says, has Joshua ever fought an active, aggressive southpaw before? Not Charles Martin. You know what I mean? Did you get my email? I did. I get lots of emails, King Toby. I did. I get lots of emails. But I'll be honest with you. I love you to bits, but I couldn't be asked. I really couldn't be asked to show that. Yeah, not Charles Martin. No, he hasn't. He hasn't. So it is what it is. It's going to be interesting. I'll put the link out. I don't know if anybody wants to come on. We've only got 50 people. So it is what it is. Christopher Cornell's just found a lot of people are just finding us, you see. So it is what it is. Let me just see something here. Let me see if I can get this link out. I don't think the people that watch Ade's channel are. I don't think they're big fans of me. Let's put it that way. I don't think the people that watch Ade's channel will be big fans of me. I think the people that watch Ade's channel are very, very big fans of Anthony Joshua. So I'm not sure that they would be that interested in following this channel. So it is what it is. I'm not gonna say much more than that. 1 second. Let's check if this stream's going. Is this stream still going? The numbers just dropped. All of a sudden, we went from like 60 people to like 20 in like 10 seconds. We're still live. Oh, fair play. I just thought there might be a few problems there. That was bizarre. Sometimes I was wondering, is YouTube taking me down or something, or done me for copyright or something? Jesus Christ. We went from 60 people to like... Okay, cool. The stream went dead. There you go. There you went dead, yeah. We're back up. We're going back up again, yeah. It's like, all of a sudden, yeah. All of a sudden, we went from like nearly 60 people, like all of a sudden back down to like 20 or something. All right, let's go. Yeah, so shout out to Shevin. You get Addy to mention it. Really? Okay. I respect that, man. Do you know what? All I'll say is this, guys, yeah? Guys, do you remember, yeah, do you know how many channels on here that I've promoted for other people? You guys know this about me. Do you know how many times that I've told other people to promote other people's channels? Like, do you remember I've shown other people's channels literally on the screen and said, yo, if you're interested, subscribe to this person's channel, or, you know, subscribe to this person's channel, or have a look at this person's channel. Do you know what I mean? I've done it without people even asking me or having to ask me. I've done it, you know. I've just said, look, you know, if you're interested in a different point of view, if you're interested, yo, here's the link. Look at this person's channel. And I showed them the channel and all kinds of stuff. So, do you know what I mean? It's funny, isn't it? It's funny how these things work, isn't it? That's all I'll say. It's funny, man. These things are funny. It's funny, man. It's funny, man. You know how these things roll, don't you? Do you know how many channels I've promoted on here? And for nothing. I get nothing out of that. Middle of the streams, showing other people's channels. Click on this link. Don't forget to subscribe. It's not a problem for me. Like I said before, you know, it is what it is, isn't it? It is what it is. Let's have a look here. Joe says Shevin fully wars in that comment. I know Shevin likes to troll a bit in that. I don't follow it, but people actually told me, oh, since Shevin in Addy's comment section. I think it's a lost cause, but that's my opinion. I think that comment section is a complete lost cause, but that's just my opinion. I think that fan base is what it is, and like I said before, I would honestly anyway. I think there's no change in the minds of some certain people in that comment section. I think they've already made up their minds. So it is what it is. I think they've already made up their minds. So it is what it is. Yo King says it's a bit clicky in the boxing realm. Yeah, not for me. Like I said before, not not for me. Like I said before, not for me. Like I said, I have no problem promoting other people's channels. They don't even have to ask me. I just do it. It's cool. It's cool. It is what it is. Like I said, all I'll say is this. What you got to remember of me, I think, like it is this. Like, what you got to remember of me before we get back onto topic is I don't make any money out of this. So this is not my life. So maybe that's why it's a little bit different for me, because I don't look to make money out of it. I'm not trying to make a career out of it. So I don't take it as like deadly seriously as other people. I think some other people might take it a little bit more seriously because obviously that's part of how they make their living. Obviously, I'm not looking really good for that on this channel. Let's get back on topic anyway. Yeah, but Shevon's a troublemaker. He's a fool. He's a troublemaker. Who's this who wanted to come on? What's his name? Who wanted to come on? This guy was bugging me. Sean Edwards, are you still here? Because if you are, I'm gonna I'll put the link. I'll put the link in if you want. I'll put the link in now if anybody wants to call in and chat about AJ. Anybody wants to call in with your views? If anybody's interested, there's the link. Link's there. Let's have a look. Oh, did you know what? My head is completely gone. I don't know if I've got fucking Alzheimer's or something. Well, Mitch had a memory of what I wanted to talk about in this show, and my memory is just absolutely, completely gone. It's absolutely ridiculous. If I can't remember in the next 5 minutes, I might have to just bump off this stream because I can't remember anything really. I can't remember a damn thing about what I wanted to talk about. Let's go through some of these comments quickly. You need to do another food or flat shoe show. Oh, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Take it easy, Ultra. Yeah, the press conference. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'll probably talk about that a bit and leave it. I just thought it was boring. Like I said, I just thought it was super boring, man. The whole thing was boring. The media workout was boring. The press conference was boring. We didn't learn anything about the fighters. One thing I will say is this, yeah. I was pretty disappointed in Anthony Joshua in the media workout, you know. Oh my gosh, is that true? Bivol and Bertabev announced for December. Whew, a huge fight. I've heard about Florian Marku. I don't want to watch it. I don't like Florian Marku and I don't like his supporters. Period. I think he's a troublemaker. I think the supporters are troublemakers. Very surprised he's got a black person coaching him as well. Very surprised. Not a fan. Not a fan of some of the people that follow him and some of the comments that have been made to other people. Not a fan. So not interested in anything to do with Florian Marku. But yeah, the press conference. I mean, for me, like, Anthony Joshua, right? He's a big draw. He's a big star. I'd like to see him put on a bit more of a show. Do you know what I mean? That's for me personally. I'd like to see him just make a little bit more effort and put on a bit of a show. It is what it is because obviously he's there to fight. He's not there to be a clown, right? I understand that. But you know when Mayweather got in the ring, Mayweather made it a bit of a show. There's a bit of pizzazz about him, you know? So these guys just, that's what I'm saying, like, back in the day when we had guys like Mayweather and De La Hoya and these guys with the pay-per-view cap, they just had something about them, you know? Mayweather, De La Hoya, these guys just, they had something about, obviously Tyson, we all know about some of Mike Tyson's press conferences, but these guys just, they had something about them. And like Anthony Joshua, like I said before, he's not a clown. It's his responsibility to fight, isn't it? It's his responsibility to fight. Not to be a clown, but I just feel sorry for the people who turned up to the media workout because, you know, like I said before, you get a glimpse of Anthony Joshua for a few minutes. He probably signed a couple of autographs and then he walked off. You know, And I feel sorry for anybody who really turned up to that, because normally, like I said, you see a bit of pad work, you see a bit of stretching, you see a bit of something. But for me, like I said, I think the two fighters really didn't make any kind of effort at all. Even at the press conference, they didn't make any kind of effort at all. The one thing I will say, and if you want to come on and talk about this, right, you can come on and talk about this. The only thing I will say is, right, I never get involved in the psychological part of boxing, right, because I think it's just a fucking waste of time. But I will say this. It's very interesting how, I don't know, like, it's going to be very interesting to see. Anthony Joshua's in the ring for the first time. Every time I see AJ in the ring with somebody who thinks he can actually beat him, like, he's very different at press conferences. Like, when he's with Klitschko, he's always matey and he's shaking hands. When he was with Povetkin, he was matey and he's shaking hands. When he was with Usyk, he was matey and he's shaking hands. Have you noticed that? I don't know. It's like every time he meets somebody who actually goes in the ring and believes that they can knock him out or beat him, like, his whole demeanor changes. Like, he's very different. Like, all of a sudden he becomes very stoic, doesn't say a lot, you know. Whereas if you remember his presser with Dominic Breazeale, do you remember his presser with Dominic Breazeale? Dominic Breazeale, his presser was completely different. He was ready to fight Dominic Breazeale, you know, outside the press conference. He was talking proper yard man talk to Breazeale and telling him, don't make me switch on you and all this, and don't make me do this. He's proper yard man. So, mind you, though, to be fair to Anthony, then Jarrell Miller, that's the difference. Jarrell Miller thought he could beat Anthony Joshua, and you saw the presser there. So maybe I'm clutching at straws there. Maybe I'm clutching at straws. I just like to see a little bit more needle and a little bit more spite, you know, for some of these pressers. Do you know what I mean? That's just for me. I like to see a bit, because you're, at the end of the day, you're fighting. And you know, people slagged off Fury and Wilder, right? Wilder's presser. But the thing about Fury and Wilder's presser is it's intense, because the two of them don't like each other. They don't like each other. Even when Wilder wasn't saying anything, that in itself was a spectacle. The whole thing was completely and utterly intense. Do you know what I mean? It was intense. You didn't know what Wilder was going to say. You didn't know if he was going to speak. The trainer's talking for him. Then Fury's jumping in saying, I've knocked you out and I've knocked your trainer out, and all this kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Even though it wasn't the greatest press conference of all time, it had a bite to it. Like, you could buy it. And I've paid £25 for this pay-per-view today, right? I've paid for it because I don't want to stream the thing, right? I've paid for it because I'm planning to cover it live for you guys, right? So, you know, when I pay £25 for something like this is supposed to be, you know, a once-in-a-lifetime fight. I like to see a bit of bite. I like to see a bit of meat on the bone. And instead, it's kind of like AJ's rocking up, and he's just, you know, looks very drained, looks very tired, he looks very pale, and he's just saying, look, this is just another fight for me, and this is going to be a difficult fight, and blah, blah, blah. And he's shaking Usyk's hand, and Usyk doesn't really speak much English, so you've got translators breaking up the flow of the press conference every 5 seconds. And then when Anthony Joshua does get asked a question, they're asking questions about Tyson Fury again for the 150th time. I don't know, like, you know, for me, like I said so far, what do you guys think? Like, for me, the event hasn't there. Joking says go through the motions. Do you know what I mean? They go through the motions. Like, the event hasn't really caught fire. And it's funny because Matchroom and all the AJ fans are so big on atmosphere, mainly because they don't know anything about boxing, right? So they're so big on atmosphere. They spend more time talking about atmosphere than boxing, don't they? Look at the atmosphere. Oh my gosh, there's 60,000 people. I've asked this question for the last 5 years and I've never got an answer. What does the number of people in the arena have to do with how good the fight is and who wins the fight? I've never understood all this stuff. 60,000 people. What has that got to do with who's going to win the fight and if the fight is enjoyable to watch? What does that mean, that you wouldn't enjoy the fight as much because there's only 20 people in the arena as opposed to if there's 60,000? Does that make sense? It's bizarre. Like, the stuff that these journalists come out and say is bizarre. You know, it's bizarre. I have to be honest, even some of these YouTube channels, and they're talking about the atmosphere, 60,000 and crowd noise. It's like, come on, man. Crowd noise. Why do you care about the crowd noise? Oh my God, the noise was like, why do you care? They had to watch the fight, man. Do you know what I mean? They had to watch the fight, man. I don't care how many people are in the arena. Do you know what I mean? It makes sense. I don't care if there's 5 people or 50 people in the arena. It makes no difference to me. If the fight's good, the fight's good. If the press conference is good, the press conference is good. If it take, but I don't know. I'd like to know what you guys think. Like I said, the links there, I'll quickly pin it. So I know people keep missing it. I'll quickly pin the link if anybody wants it. Here we go. So I've pinned this. Can you pin 2 messages? No, you can't. I've pinned the link to the top of the page, but we'll have Rico on tomorrow. We'll have Riku on tomorrow, and these are the kind of the things that will last Riku. I don't know, man. It's weird, isn't it? I just think the whole event's been flat. Do you know, honestly, nobody's talking about the fact that this fight can be a stinker. Nobody. Everybody's talking about it like this is going to be some kind of great fight. I'm telling you right now, right? I can definitely see this fight being a stinker. Get me on record as saying that. I can definitely see this fight being a stinker. 100%. 100%. Let's have a look. Sunny Singh saying, and the Matromongs are bashing Deontay versus Tyson, saying there's no promo, but the AJ versus Usyk. Yeah, AJ, for me, what do you think, what do you think's got? I mean, I honestly don't think AJ versus Usyk's had a good build-up. That's just my opinion. Like I said, it's not AJ's fault. His opponent isn't a big English speaker. But for me, like I say, for a perspective for the fans, look, let me put it this way. I hope the fight's a good fight. I hope the fight lives up to the expectation. That's all I'm going to say. That's probably the easiest way I can say it, yeah? I hope the fight lives up to the expectation. And let me just say one other thing as well. I don't think the journalists have done a very good job, because it's the journalist's job, yeah? It's the journalist's job to drag personality out of these fighters, isn't it? That's the job of the journalist. It's the job of the journalist to drag a bit of personality out of Anthony Joshua. Drag a bit of personality out of Oleksandr Usyk. And maybe try and throw them a few curveball questions, yeah? Maybe try and trick him a bit. Maybe just try and get a reaction. Try and get a bit of spice going. Give us something. Give us a bit of meat on the bone. But the journalists don't do that, really, do they? Which makes me laugh, because that's what they're paid to do. But the journalists don't really do that, really, do they? They don't. And that's bizarre. They just sit there and they go, yo, Anthony, what do you think about what Fury said? What do you think about this? Like, fucking hell. Do you know what I mean? Same old shit. I might have to go soon, because I'm just repeating myself in circles over and over again. But for some reason, the numbers just keep going up ever so slightly. Let me tell you, 64 people in the chat. If you're new to this show and you've never been here before, honestly, 7 p.m. tomorrow night, myself and Riku, we are absolutely going in with the final preview. That's, to be honest, why I'm holding back a little bit here, because I've got Riku coming on a show tomorrow night, 7 p.m. If you're into uncut, raw commentary, then I would suggest that you turn up here at 7 p.m. because what you've got 2 people who aren't company men, you've got 2 people who aren't on the payroll, and you've got 2 people who don't, change their opinion depending on which fucking organization or which promoter is paying them for that week. So if you want raw opinions, you'll get raw opinions. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Let's have a look. Yeah. Let's have a look here. Gary Harrison says, Usyk has a lot of personality, but not being able to speak English is a massive hurdle to the marketing. I would think so. But then, Anthony Joshua's job is not to be a clown, right? Anthony Joshua's job is to be a fighter, right? So you can't put it on AJ. But at the same time, I would like to see a little bit more personality from him. It's like, when Tyson Fury, yeah? When Deontay Wilder wouldn't speak in a Tyson Fury interview, what did he turn around and say? Tyson Fury said to Christina Poncha, fine, give me the mic. I'll do the entire press conference. That's the good thing about Fury. Fury excels in moments like that. He just naturally excels in. Wilder's not going to talk. Give me the mic. And he said, I'll speak for him. Remember that? He said, give me the mic and I'll talk for him. And thank goodness they didn't let him do that, because that would have been hilarious. But you see what I mean? Now, obviously, Anthony Joshua's not that kind of guy, yeah, but it'd be nice if he just had that little bit more personality, that little bit more, that little bit more pizzazz to him where he could take over a press conference, where he could say, look, this, and this, where he could inject a bit of brightness into it, just for the people that are paying and watching for it. But that's just my opinion. The lead up to the fight has not been, it's been pretty lackluster. I'm just, if anybody's got any more comments or questions, we'll stay on for another 5 or 10 minutes. I'm just going to look at some Anthony Joshua merchandise in the meantime. If anybody's got any questions or comments, look, like I said before, who's the referee? Do we know who the referee is for the fight yet? Oh, and that's it. Somebody mentioned about the size of the ring and said it's a 20-foot ring and how small that ring is. Well, isn't that a standard size ring? I'm not sure. People are mentioning that. People are mentioning the fact there's a 20-foot ring. And they're saying they're concerned with it. I mean, like I said before, it makes no sense to give Usyk room to maneuver around it. But then again, I think Usyk's going to fight at close quarters anyway. I don't think Usyk's going to fight the long fight. Somebody asked about foot drills. Somebody said, check out Fran Sands' channel. Fran Sands is cool. Check out his channel. I don't even do footwork drills. I'm awful. Honestly, I've actually got naturally, honestly, I can't fight worth a shit, but I've actually got better footwork than most people naturally. Honest to God, I've actually got really good footwork, I have to say. And I don't even practice any footwork drills. The way I practice my footwork is just moving around the heavy bag. That's how I do it. I don't even do specific drills. The way I practice it is moving around the heavy bag and taking angles on the heavy bag and doing that. Rather than doing it, But there's loads of ways you can do it, I've got a ladder here. I've got a ladder. You know what I mean? Those little fold-up ladders, yeah? And you can sort of, sprint in between the gaps and do your footwork. I've got one of those ladders here, but I don't really use it. But I'm lazy. But maybe I'll do some. I'm back in the boxing gym next week or so. Sonny Singh's joining us. 1 second. No, I can't hear you yet, Sonny. It's just my fault. Sonny, give your opinions. Go for it.
Cool. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I've just got this lovely AJ merchandise up in the background. I'll have a look at that while you chat to the viewers. Say whatever you want to say, Sonny. Go for it.
Well, I thought I'd come at it from a different angle because I don't know as much as you guys do technically about the boxing side. I thought the psychology stuff you said was interesting because what I relate that to is when I was coaching with football, when you get to the level 2 in the FA, they do something called the 4-corner model, and psychology is one of those corners, and they always believed and said to us that was the most important. But I think when you break it down, I know what people mean about mind games, but I think they go off track a bit.
Mind games.
Yeah, but the psychology part is more like what you said there. It's the ability to adapt, isn't it, under pressure? Where Fury didn't mind taking the mic and doing what he did. Whereas in that the part in terms of for Usyk, I wonder if the crowd being back in an arena, is this stuff going to factor against AJ? As in, when he had the pressure of Deontay knocking out Brazil, he did say, didn't he, fucked up against Ruiz and he wanted to put on a show. So I think those kind of things are more the psychological part of you want your opponent not focused ultimately, rather than, like doing dumb shit isn't quite, I don't think it's actually unfocusing people properly. The one I do wonder about, like, might be a shit example, but was when David Haye for Vlad and they sent him through the audience, that sort of shit. Does that disrupt his flow and his concentration early on? That's not going to happen here, but that's the part where I think that's what they mean by psychology, the mind games, that aspect of things. One thing that would go for AJ, I think, in this respect, is he isn't following on. AJ's going before Tyson and going before Wilder. So if he does put on a show, the pressure's on those guys. I find it difficult to call. Honestly, I do this one. I really don't know because like people have said, he's not shit, is he? He's not some dude who you think could get smashed up in a round. He doesn't know how to lose. He's unbeaten in 18, but he's not looked great at heavheavyweight.
That is, by the way, let me just say that. And Sonny, your points are tremendous, actually. I've actually changed the name of the stream based on Sonny's points because I think that's probably something that we can talk about. Maybe that's what we can talk about. Because I think, first and foremost, it's a combination of two things, right? I think the psychological side is obviously extremely important, right? Psychological reason is the reason why I never boxed because I suffer from anxiety, so I would break down long before. I'd be like Danny Williams. I'd be crying in a changing room before a fight. Do you know what I mean? I always psych myself. My biggest opponent was always me. Never the guy standing in front of me. It was always me. And I always think the worst of things and think the worst is going to happen, which is why I never stepped in the ring because I definitely had the ability to win a white collar. Maybe with an amateur fight, anybody can win an amateur fight. There's different levels to amateur boxing. It's not all one big pot. Definitely had the ability to go into white collar and win one or two. Definitely had the ability to go and do amateur and win one or two. But it was the mentality. But to get back to what you're saying, and I'll let you carry on. I think it's a great point. I do question how well Anthony Joshua actually handles the pressure. I think he puts a mask on, which is fine because all people have different ways of dealing with it, yeah? But whenever he meets somebody who he hasn't got mentally beaten, like somebody who is genuinely believes they can beat him, like for me, his whole demeanor changes like every single time. His demeanor changes. I knew at the face-off today he was going to initiate a handshake with Usyk. I knew he always does this, yeah? Every time he's faced with somebody who genuinely believes that they got his number. He's always first to go for a handshake. He's always quick to sort of, play the matey and tone it down. So listen, carry on with your point. Sorry, I agree with that. Carry on, keep talking.
No, so good. I just thought that one thing to add to that as well, which you said I did think is a bit of an insight into his psychology, was when that time when there was like, we're going to get a fight on. Dillian was in the ring. I can't remember, who was the opponent? Chisora 2, wasn't it? And he came, remember, to the corner of the ring. And then when he was like, yeah, listen, we don't know who number 1 and number 2 is, but if we can't fight those guys, and then Dillian was the whole, yo, I'm not waiting, I fight other mans. And that shit kicked off when he walked off. And then AJ was getting interviewed by Anna Woolhouse, Johnny Nelson, was it these guys after? And that still affected him because when they said, who's on your shopping list? And remember, he was like, you know what, Dillian's an idiot. I knocked him out clean. And it was like, see, that's the part where I think the psychology comes in, where shit that goes on around you cannot disrupt who you are and what you're about. When that starts affecting you, they have control. That people have got to see that as a weakness, I think, because it's like, we can get to this geezer, actually, we can piss him off. And ultimately, if you're disrupted in that way, you're pissed off to some degree. We all have had it. If something happens, if you're driving, something winds you up, that's taken you off what you were thinking about. And it is not to sound disrespectful, but it is an area of mental weakness. I do see that in him. That's the part that, like, I'm not his biggest fan, so it's one of them where people might disrupt my points, ignore my points in that way, and ignore what I'm saying in that context. But I do believe that Usyk hasn't done that, has he, though? But you're right, he does go in very friendly, very polite. So is that an aspect of, I don't know, maybe be authentic with who he is. If he feels like he wants to go and smash someone up, he should come out and say that.
It feels to me like he forces it. Like, it feels to me that is how he feels about the situation. But then he tries to, it's difficult with him because he's so well media trained, isn't he? And he likes to, it's hard to sort of gauge like what's really going on in his head. So let me just ask you then, this 60,000 people in this bloody arena, who do you think that's more likely to affect, right? AJ or Usyk?
Oh, all day, I think AJ, because the pressure's on him, isn't he? He's the champ. He will. That's what I mean by that. Well, I agree with what you said there about getting into fighting. Sorry, if you don't want me going off on a bit of a tangent.
Say what you want. Say exactly what you want. Talk away.
That part there is a part of coaching, you see. That's a massive part. But without telling the kids, like, get on with it, do this. When we was trying to see what they were like, where some of them were a bit clownish, if you can get that out of them in the warm-up, they'll be focused. Or some lads fucked about in training, but they were all right in a game. So that part of it, I think, is a part of coaching. Whereas again, I'm not going to disrespect the coaches you knew, but that part should be a part of coaching, of saying, yeah, listen, just go in there, just worked on. They need to find a way that gets you not thinking about shit, I'm going in the ring. I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone would feel pressure to a degree when you're in any kind of competition. But that's the part where, I don't know, Rob McCracken isn't Mr. Personality, is he? He's a fantastic trainer in terms of boxing. I don't know how effective he's at getting him to the position of, don't worry about 60,000. But I'd imagine from AJ's possession, from what we know right now, I think he did speak to someone, I think, on a psychological aspect going into the Ruiz fight. Just some things he did differently. I'd have to go back and watch him. I can't remember. But at the time, I was thinking, he's answering these questions quite a tactful way. Like, basically, it was as if one thing he said, I think, was something like, it's me versus myself. It's like somebody managed to get into his head to say, your competition isn't anyone else, it's you. So he focused on, he said he didn't lift weights, he did boxing training. That's what I mean by the psychological parts of.
Let me just quickly cut you off for 1 sec on that.
Yeah, go for it.
I think you're talking pure sense. He said he was doing similar things to me in today's press conference. Today, to me, in his press conference, it looked like he was practicing gratitude, right? Which is a technique, as you probably know, for getting over anxiety. The technique is actually when you're worried about things, okay, or when you're worried about the worst thing that can happen, to be grateful, to think about all the things that are going right, to be thankful for what you've got, and gratitude is one of the sort of the mental tools that people use to get over anxiety and things like that.
Yeah, gratitude, attitude, yeah.
Yeah, and in the press conference today, one of the first things I hear him start saying, I hardly watched it, was him talking about how blessed he is, and talking about how it's the best time of his life.
Yeah, yeah.
We said that a couple of times. It's the best time of my life. I'm really happy to be here. Do you remember? I think it was in the rematch to the Andy Ruiz fight. That was the one where he started saying things like, we're going to look back on this. We've got to enjoy these times. We've got to enjoy these times because we're going to look back here 20, 30 years and 40 years and think, wow, these are the times of our lives and things like that. It does feel like the sports psychologist has got into him. And he's getting him to use these techniques and use these tools, practicing gratitude and things like that to reduce the pressure on himself. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's mindfulness, isn't it? In a word, that is
exactly. That's it. Yeah, exactly.
In the moment, and to get someone thinking about, then the next step of that is to control the controllables, isn't it? If they start to feel anxious, it's like, well, we can't manage that, mate. The fight's 3 weeks off. What we can do is how much have we hydrated today? How much have we ate? Calories. You get the focus on what it is they can manage, so they don't feel as anxious, as nervous, isn't it? Then because everything that's within reach, within limitation, we can do. So I definitely think that. I didn't notice that, actually. You're right, my brain switched off a bit, I'm not gonna lie, because I thought it was a bit shit, that presser was. But you're right, I forgot that for a second. He actually used that exact term, didn't he? Said these are like the best days of my life. I'm gonna look back.
Yeah.
Exact words. Yeah,
he did. Yes. Now carry on, Sonny.
I just say what you said, I think was quite interesting, because I got a friend that's trying to break into football for a few years back, and he's had that thing really where when I've noticed him in games where there's pressures on, he's fantastic in training and works way hard. He's going to train Saturday before he comes over. He's in a team, but it 100% is what goes on in the head. That's the part I think is more, maybe better, we should say, is how people deal with pressure, handle it, rather than when they go mind games, they make the whole area seem like a joke, don't they? And I know I've only done the first level of counselling and some of the life coaching, mentoring. I'm not super advanced in this, but from what I do know, it helped me. And I didn't even realise with the dialysis stuff, I don't want to go off track, but I just think I didn't get to 10.5 years by thinking that, oh, right, I need to get through 10.5 years. It was literally that shift. What am I doing? Take my laptop. I've got this poster to design. I've got this email to send. You just focus on what you're doing right now, and then the rest will handle itself. I think that he's definitely got people around him that almost like an Olympic athlete, isn't it? That maybe they use that and say it to him, because he did say some word like that. I can't remember what it was. It was like he had this hashtag, he said himself, like warrior mindset or whatever, and he kept saying it at a certain time. So I wonder if that was a thing they used to focus him. That would be, it's like in a boxing ring when they say use your reset, like if you're doing something, you do something to reset yourself. If you're getting caught if you're following the other guy's lead too much, you're supposed to reset yourself, like snap back into it. I think AJ does that, but I couldn't get the words. I think it was something like warrior mindset or military mindset. I think it was some shit he just kept saying, and I thought that seems like someone's told you to say that.
Let me just quickly say as well, I think the media have got a lot to answer for with this, because we've talked tonight about how lackadaisical the press conferences and their media work have been. Really, for me, I just think it's not the media's job to help Anthony Joshua, but I think they do their fair share of just adding pressure onto him, right? And I do feel sorry for him in a certain way, because he's getting in a ring with the guy who is really the undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world, right? The guy who's an Olympic gold medalist for a reason, right? And he wants to be in the present, like you said, like these athletes, these ABCs, 1, 2, 3s of any kind of sports psychology or any kind of mindfulness is to be present, yeah? So he's trying to be present, but these British journalists won't let him be present, because all they do is bang on about Tyson Fury, and previously all they were doing was banging on about Deontay Wilder left, right and centre. So that's the irony of these things, is that I find it ironic, like the AJ fans and all that cling on to IFL TV so much. I think IFL TV do more harm than good for Anthony Joshua. I think he's probably realised that as time goes on. All these stupid interviews about the 150 interviews about Wilder, will it, won't it, and the 20 minutes of crap he had to sit down with Coogan for the other day, where it was just basically 20 minutes of him asking about Fury. I don't think that does him any good mentally. What do you think about that?
I think it's interesting what you said. I didn't see that particular one. You see, I'm not going to lie, I try and swerve IFL stuff, but that you said one question is absolutely fucking crazy.
I'm not joking. He asked one question. The question he asked him was, "Do you think Usyk is the hardest opponent of your career or something like that, skill wise?" That's what he asked him. After that, every single question he pretty much asked him centered around Tyson Fury. What happened? That went on for 20 minutes. Carry on.
Well, quick answer to Dave Lane. I don't play Sunday League. I wasn't supposed to play, dude, so I didn't for a while. I don't know if I can right now with the transplant. Things have been a bit shitty, but yeah, I was not supposed to carry on playing once I was on dialysis, so maybe down the line on it, dude. But yeah, I don't play right now. What's it called? Who was that? Yeah, Crazy D3 said Joshua's not assertive enough. I do agree with that. I think that's the thing with basically it's like when you're dealing with people that are abusive. I know this is not that level, but what you have to do is you've got to shut down I haven't got a lot of training in this, but I've got some with narcissistic abusive people and that type of thing. When they try and phrase things in a certain way, it's called gaslighting or that type of like, oh, so you've done this. You have to address that and you have to cut it dead because it's basically not to go down the psychological route, but it's boundaries. So he needs to make sure like the boundaries and the limit of this conversation is to do with Usyk. He's not turned around and gone, listen, I respect that you've come out to speak to me or whatever, and then just in one line just addressed it. So it's like, you're not supposed to cross that. He's not going to take the piss, is he? A Coogie Bear would get fucking sparked by AJ, but he doesn't say anything. So I agree with you. I don't think that the media help really. They're actually detrimental when you look at it in terms of they're pushing an agenda and narrative that's going to take his mind towards Tyson Fury. Whereas, again, maybe his media training's a bit shit there because he should be saying, hang on a second, lads, we'll talk about this when it's at a press conference and it's Tyson Fury there. This isn't Tyson Fury. I'm not addressing any issues. I think that would be a bit more assertive and a bit more that sort of whatever military mindset, a bit more controlling, like, lads, I'm not letting this. But it's weird, isn't it? Because it's as if, I don't know if they've been given the green light. I can't remember who said this now on one of their channels. It might have been yourself, might have been Porky. Someone's on about, you don't get access, though, if you say certain things. So I don't know, but that I find weird because they're getting access, so they're chatting to the dude, but then they're saying shit that's actually detrimental. So I don't know, unless whoever's behind the scenes in Matchroom has given them the green light that you can ask about Tyson Fury, you can say this, or unless it's a free-for-all when it's live, you can say whatever you like. And everyone just kept saying shit about Fury. But I don't know, and I don't have the answers for that because he doesn't interview everyone, does he, either? The IFL's the link with Matchroom, aren't they? So I thought AJ tends to go, not with Seconds Out or Boxing Social, he tends to interview with IFL, doesn't he? And it's crazy when you think one question. So it's like the dude's not helping you, mate, but probably because he comes across as a pal, doesn't he? It seems like he's chatting to a friend.
And that's how these interviews do. Eddie Hearn uses exactly the same technique on people. You know, Coogie's the same, you know. Coogan and Hearn are two peas in the pods, really, aren't they? They give you the whole matey thing. You know, oh yeah, cheeky chappy, I'm a cheeky chappy. You know, which bird are you shagging? What packet of crisps do you like? You know how they try and gain your trust, yeah? But really, you know, it's all about sort of, you know, manipulating you and to basically saying what they want you to say. You know, they'll want Anthony Joshua to say something like, you know, F Tyson Fury, and then, you know, they'll put that big friggin' raw, brutal, raw beef. AJ says F Fury so they can get clicks. That's all they're really interested in, do you know what I mean? And getting clicks. What I want to ask you about, since we're talking about the mind games, is there any doubt in your mind that Oleksandr Usyk thinks he's going to win this fight? I know that might change when he gets the first punch on Saturday night, but to me, honestly, I don't think there's like a shred of doubt in it. Well, it was obviously there's going to be some, but I don't think there's little doubt in Usyk's mind that he's going to win this fight. And not only that, yeah, I think the reason why Usyk thinks he's going to win is because he purely doesn't think that AJ is on his level as a fighter. He doesn't see other than power, yeah. I don't think he sees anything in Anthony Joshua's arsenal other than power that actually has the ability to hurt him. And this is something that I've been saying before. People have to remember, Usyk has seen right-handed fighters like Anthony Joshua in that similar. Obviously, he's not the same, you know, but Usyk's seen these kind of fighters as a million times. Can you imagine how many times he must have seen fighters like this? You know, going through fucking amateur boxing, going through sparring, going through training. He must have seen 1,000,001 bigger, taller guys trying to impose their strength, bigger punches. He has seen all those kind of styles. But I don't think Anthony Joshua's ever seen anything like what Oleksandr Usyk brings to the table. And I think that's where Usyk gets his confidence from. What do you think about that from a psychological perspective?
Yeah, because you said that the other day, didn't you, about how AJ Usyk hasn't seen anyone like AJ, because it'd be different. I did think that when you said it then. I was like, yeah, and then obviously you said the other way as well, round, that it is that way. And I do think that's interesting, because he did say, didn't he, when he faced Chisora, that I think when they said, what do you rate yourself? He said something like, shit, like 3 or 4 out of 10. So he was reflective enough to realise like that was a bollocks fucking performance. So I don't think he's going to go in and delude himself. I think he did appreciate that actually that was a fucking crap outing, because it wasn't shit, was it? But maybe he thought we should get a late stoppage. Really, we don't know what they were saying, were they, in their game plan? But yeah, I don't think he doubts himself. No, I think that. I don't know. I don't think you could achieve what he's done and then go into this. And I think he's cut from the different cloth of the knockover job and just getting a payday. I hope is not. And from what we've seen tonight, it's not in his makeup. It's not who he is. So now I agree with you on that. I don't think he's in any way doubtful of his own ability. It's just a question of whether he comes up short, doesn't he? Because as we said, he hasn't looked great at heavyweight, and that's my worry and marker. He hasn't got the freakish speed of David Haye, the power, something, I don't know, but at the same time I'm being smacked by Usyk, so I don't know to say if he hits AJ, is he gonna get his respect early on, to think you can't just walk this guy down and just spark him. Actually, he's gonna have to take his time. We're only gonna find that stuff out on the night, aren't we, really?
You right to stay over a few minutes?
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
So, everything I wanted to ask is, and I've completely forgotten what I wanted to ask, but it was something to do with, that's right, here's what I wanted to say. Usyk not looking good at heavyweight. I'll throw you a curveball on this one. He didn't look great to me in the Michael Hunter fight. He got hit a lot, particularly early on in that fight. I can't remember the Maris Breedis fight, but I'm pretty sure he got hit a lot in that. I'm not sure if I watched all of that, but I'm pretty sure he got hit a fair bit in that, because that was a very, very close fight, right? But the ironic thing about Usyk is, the biggest fight of his career, right, against the biggest puncher that he'd ever been in the ring with, in Gassiev, was the one night that he produced, arguably, the best performance I've ever seen from him. He was hardly touched. I think he was hit with one right. He was hitting her, I think, once in the whole fight. Hit with one right hand once. He was hardly touched in that fight against Gassiev. And do you attach any significance to that? The fact that Usyk has looked a bit scrappy, a bit dodgy in the past, right? Not all of his victories at cruiserweight were absolutely dominant blowouts, right? He looked a bit vulnerable and he looked a little bit hittable before in fight. But yet, when he went into the biggest fight of his career against the biggest puncher, all of a sudden, he was able to pull out a career-best performance and looked very, very, very hard to hit in that fight.
Well, I did wonder if this is going to be his Usyk's equivalent of what Tyson Fury had with Vlad, because he has risen to his level, hasn't he? Before we hadn't seen anything from Tyson Fury, and he got put on the bloody deck as well by Cunningham. So I do wonder if actually we'll look back and this will be his moment. I mean, obviously only time will tell, but yeah, in terms of a curveball, I do think that's an interesting factor. That's why, I mean, if I have to put the case for Usyk, I'd have to say that he has found a way to win, and as shit as he's looked at heavyweight, he's still got the W. So is that part in him? And also at the same time, if we're talking from a boxing perspective, surely they've analysed AJ. I'm not being rude, but he's a bit robotic, isn't he? And for someone with Usyk's mind, he's surely going to be able to read the signs and in the ring face to face, he can see what's coming. I can't imagine he's going to be shocked a load, is he? He's not some idiot who picked up last week. So is he able to adapt? That's the question, isn't it, really? I think he can. I don't think he gets stopped early, and people saying that. I think he gets knocked out. I wonder if it's just the case he's not elusive enough, not quick enough, and just eventually he's just overwhelmed. So I think he's very possible of doing that. I do. Actually, to contradict myself, what I said with AJ possibly stopping him, you just can't definitely count Usyk out, though, because of that reason. As you said, he's produced some fantastic performances. He against Bellew, he got caught too many times, really. But does he rise to the occasion and do what he needs to do on the night? So far, so he has, hasn't he? He's managed to still find a win, even when you can't do those mistakes against AJ. You'd have thought he got KO'd, but we haven't seen those mistakes every time, have we, since Bellew? So he made some of those mistakes then and got caught with the right hand. I don't know. I didn't think he was as shit as he thought he was against Chisora. He did enough, didn't he, to win?
Yeah,
but
I don't think, as a people think Chisora was actually winning that fight. I personally didn't see it that way at all. But I think with a lot of these Chisora fights, like, people don't understand, like, when punches land and when punches don't land. Like, I know Chisora landed a few, but a lot of the time, like, Chisora's punches, to me, particularly his body shots, yeah, a lot of them hit gloves and people count them. That's my opinion, especially based off the Joseph Parker fight. I was hearing all kinds of stories about how Chisora won that fight 12-0 or something like that. Like, Chisora absolutely, like, dominated him, yeah. And
they were just looking at pressure, weren't they? They were.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Pressure, yeah, but I think, like I said, I definitely think Chisora made Usyk very uncomfortable, put him out of position a lot of times, backed him up against the ropes, made it sloppy, which is what Chisora will do to anybody. Like, you won't forget, like, even Vitali, I know Vitali was past it, yeah? I know Vitali was past it, but even Vitali couldn't get Chisora. Even Vitali didn't look good against Chisora. Carry on.
No, see, that's where the David Haye fan comes out in me and thinks, I wonder if he would have been able to beat Vitali after that, where I don't know, but I mean, as in he didn't fight him. But that's
I think so. I think so. Yeah. I don't think Vitali wanted to fight David Haye after that.
No. That's the whole bloody, what's it called? Didn't it? A boy bloody glassing him and then getting out of the country on a private.
Yeah, I personally don't think Vitali. I'm not saying Vitali ducked him, but I personally don't think Vitali. I think Vitali knew that wasn't the right time, because that was David Haye at his peak versus Vitali was clearly on the slide there. So that's my opinion on that.
And what you said, with that, exactly how he was against Chisora. Chisora, he's the only person, just on that note, who failed forwards as well. To use another coaching term. The dude, didn't he lose the British? Was it to? Yeah, it's British to Tyson Fury. Then what? Then it was the European title, which he should have won, but got robbed, didn't he? I haven't watched that in a long time. Then he went to World, so he lost 3 losses in a row and went up each level though. But yeah, what you were saying, exactly, and that's the thing. So Usyk might look at that and just think that was an absolute shit night. And again, as you said previously, haven't you before, rightly, that boxing is on the night. So if Usyk got it wrong, I don't know, maybe something went wrong in training camp. It didn't. I have no idea, but he did say it was a shit night. So exactly, you are able to have that night but still be a good fighter. So I just hope it doesn't end early is my thing, and I hope that it's not like we're saying this and then he's not, because he's not elusive enough, is he? To a degree, he's not. He's not quite Vasily Lomachenko, I don't think.
He's not. No, he's not. I
know people compare the two, but he's not.
They're similar, but he's not. He's nowhere near as elusive as Lomachenko.
So then, exactly. Then you wonder if AJ's got the speed to do damage to him, and he's not slow. AJ isn't, but if he can be telegraphed and he's a bit predictable in there for Usyk, then he'll definitely do a decent job of, at the very least, getting to the second half of the fight. You would have thought. I don't know. I really find it difficult to put a prediction on this, because there are factors at play that could go this way or that way. But I don't think it ends early. I don't know. Have you put it down with your prediction? You're going AJ. What was it?
Yeah, I'm going Anthony Joshua by KO, because I think that's what you have to go with. There's no way AJ's going to lose on the cards. There's just no way.
Agreed.
Too much money. It's too much money in boxing for that to happen. Surprised that Frank Warren going for that pick, because there's just way too much money in boxing for Anthony Joshua to get beat on a decision.
Oh, Frank Warren's gone Usyk points.
Sorry?
Frank Warren's gone Usyk points.
Frank says if it goes 12, he thinks Usyk can put it off.
Nah, anyway, he's getting that if he gets a knockdown or something.
Yeah, he has to get him late. He has to get him late, doesn't he? But then again, the one thing I will say is, AJ, and not a lot of people have talked about this, right? And let me ask you one thing about this. People like to talk about mind games a lot, right? I mean, I'm not saying I believe in this stuff. I'm just throwing curveballs out there. But Anthony Joshua is so confident in himself and confident in his own ability, and his handlers are so confident in himself and confident in his own ability, then why is his mandatory being forced into a rematch clause to get the fight?
Good question, isn't it? I don't see why this is a weird thing anyway, isn't it? We were talking about this previously, it's a strange thing how much they insist on. I thought they shouldn't be allowed a rematch, actually, but maybe that's the thing, isn't it? They're not that confident, and he I don't know if he's unfocused and they genuinely believed the fight was going to go ahead and all that stuff was sincere and it wasn't bullshit. Then you got to ask yourself that question, because he didn't really want to get in the ring with Usyk, did he? He wanted the Fury fight. I don't know. Maybe they're wondering how good he is, because aren't they still both signed to Matchroom? They are, aren't they?
Well, I think Usyk is now. As part of the deal, Eddie's basically got an option on Usyk. So I think Usyk will be working with Eddie. I think he's tied in like Anthony Joshua is for the rest of his career, and he can't get out, because that was part of the deal of taking the fight. I think one was the rematch clause, and two, I think, is that Eddie Hearn has options to co-promote on Usyk. So. Listen, that's something that goes on in promotion. It is what it is. But I just find it very funny how the media, again, haven't really made much of that and haven't really spoken about that. The media to me are very strange, because they seem to want to talk about everything in boxing, from Caleb Plant's sunglasses, all the way over to all kinds of other shit. But when it comes to the issue of performance in arts and drugs in boxing, or when it comes into the issue of why was Oleksandr Usyk as the mandatory railroaded, into a rematch clause, right? which most people would agree is slightly out of the ordinary, nobody seems to want to ask any questions about that and say, well, if you are so confident about this, and if you are so confident of the victory, why were you so insistent on the... Because Eddie Hearn was saying, right, and this is Eddie Hearn, not Anthony Joshua, right? I'm just going to what Eddie Hearn said. Eddie Hearn said, if there's no rematch clause, we're dropping the belt.
Oh, shit, I didn't know that. Bloody hell, that insistent on it.
Guys in the chat, let me know if I'm wrong about that. There's 66 in the chat right now. Let me know if I'm wrong on that. I'm 99% sure that Eddie Hearn is on record in print as saying that if they couldn't get the rematch clause with Usyk, right, that Anthony Joshua would give up the WBO title. And once they came to the agreement that there would be a rematch clause, and all of a sudden the fight was done. The fight took a while to get done and dusted. There was I don't know if you guys remember, there was a couple of months of a hold up for that fight being announced, and I know some of that was obviously the finding a venue. But I'm trying to find it now. But yeah, let's see what the guys in the chat say. I mean, from what I saw, Eddie Hearn was absolutely insistent on it. Like they had to be a rematch clause in there, otherwise okay. So Jay saying yes, he did say that. Crazy D3 saying yes, Eddie did say that. Joe Wall saying he did say that 100%. Shevin saying, yes, Eddie 100% said no rematch clause or we drop the belt. What do you think about that?
Fucking hell, that's got to give you massive confidence if you're Usyk.
I mean, no one's asked these questions, and that's bizarre, isn't it? Nobody's asked about the nature of that and why that. Carry on. Sorry for butting in. I find it very strange how none of these journalists ask, and it's their fucking living to do this, though. See, the thing is, Sonny, it's not my job to do this. It's not your job. We do this for free. They're making money out of this. Carry on. I'm going to get a cup of tea. Carry on, Sonny. Hold the show.
Yeah, cool. I was going to say, unfortunately, Ultra's just answered it, hasn't he, there, guys? Because they're making money from it. They're saying what they're saying, actually. These people in the... I don't know, there's no polite way of saying it, is it? Let's be honest. They're sellouts. They're saying what they're PR agents disguised as journalists. In no way do they actually do any real journalism and do any digging and say these kind of things and put them under pressure with their questions. They ask a question that someone who's a casual could ask most of the time. Do you know what I mean? They don't actually ask them technical questions of, in this fight we saw this, so how are you going to respond and deal with this? You have to adapt because he's already proven. We don't see any of that, do we? Of them actually breaking down something technical. It's just like, shit, dude, it's honestly, as I put somebody, just give them a mic and go, there's a presser in 10 minutes, mate. Just go in there, hold the fort for me. And they just ask really stupid, basic common questions at anyone who casually follows the sport. I think it is. I think you answered it. I think it's because they're being paid and they know that if they don't basically work as PR agents, they don't get picked. Because I thought that's what Rob Tibbet's decent. I thought Danny Flexen as well previously had said these kind of things when he's gone, I wouldn't want to pay for this if I'm a fan. I don't like the undercard, blah, blah. But then people have their favorites then, don't they? They don't go on those channels. So you do get penalized by the boxers and their promotional outfits, no doubt, saying, we'll swerve that geezer. He's not coming in, whatever it is. So it is a disgrace because the actual technical term and being a journalist, you should be asking these questions. It's not about trying to make someone look stupid, but you're just trying to find and do a bit of digging to see what the truth is. I don't know. I guess that arguably, because that's another aspect of why the sport is considered corrupt, isn't it? That there's too much of that going on where not all the time, but you do see managers walk out in press conferences in football and people ask questions they don't like and they get pissed off with it. But they need to ask questions that dig a bit and why was this guy dropped and this transfer rumor and whatever. And you can't just be like, oh, he's my mate, I'm going to talk to him for 2 minutes. But yeah, I do think you nailed it there. I think it's because they're being paid. These people are just bad. That's the thing that people are worried about, not to go off track, but with Haye, that they're like, hopefully his channel doesn't become Matchroom. And it has a strong contingent of those sort of fans already. But yeah, I do think there's an aspect of boxing, actually, that when people are being paid usually by a big outfit, they're being invited to things, it's kind of like an unwritten rule. Unless they discuss it, they can't say certain things, which is shit, though, isn't it, as fans? Because we were left with these questions of wanting to have genuine answers. And basically you get is, oh, so how's training camp gone? And, did you sleep last night for at least 7 hours? And whatever, stupid questions that just like you think, you could have swerved this presser and you would have missed absolutely nothing. That's what I mean, boys. Just a bit of a letdown, that is.
Once you get paid money, okay, look, a few people are, look, let me just clarify this because I know how people on the internet work and they love to stir up beef, right? So a couple of people are bringing up Haye in the chat, right, and whatnot, right? I'll clarify this. I will never say anything negative about Haye on this channel ever. Even if Haye broke into my house in the middle of the night, shot my mum and my wife and kids. Probably still wouldn't say anything nasty about him on the stream. So I'm not going to do that because, you know, I just don't roll like that. You know, if I have a problem with the dude, I'd have to tell him, innit? And probably get back, but you have to tell somebody. You can't just go around doing people like that. But what I will say is this, and I've got to be careful what I say. This is just to everybody. It's not about one person. It's to everybody. But okay, let me phrase it this way, Sonny, right? Sonny, if I genuinely was getting paid X amount of money by Frank Warren, right? Or if I was being hired by BT Sport, right? If that was me. So let's say BT Sport hired me tomorrow, right? And I started doing the coverage for Queensbury Promotions, right? I would have to consider, right, staying off YouTube or staying off the channel, or I'd have to completely rebrand my channel and make it 100% clear. I work for Queensbury. I'm absolutely going to smash them to pieces. That's my job. Do you know what I mean? What I can't do is, once I'm receiving money, I can't then come around and tell you guys, nothing's going to change. Everything's going to be the same, because it's just not how it works. You know?
Yeah, it's ingenuous, isn't it? That is.
You can't, when you're making a living, you know what I mean? You can't bite the hand that feeds you. And I'm not asking anybody to. Do you know what I mean? You can't bite the hand that feeds you. But I'm just letting everybody, you know, be honest. Like, you know, for me, to be honest, if I was ever hired, which would never happen, but let's say hypothetically I was hired tomorrow by Queensbury, actually that wouldn't be a problem, because I'm probably the greatest matchroom basher in the history of YouTube anyway, and so nothing would change anyway. Do you know what I mean? It was still just be even more matchroom bashing, right? But let me tell you something, right? Here's an example. I'm not trying to slag anybody off, so I'm just hypothetically saying, if I was hired tomorrow by DAZN or Matchroom, right? Imagine if I was hired. Imagine if you guys found out Ultra's going to work as a journalist for DAZN and Ultra's going to work for Matchroom. And then I come on here the next day and say to you guys, don't worry, everything's going to be exactly the same on this channel. Like, nothing's going to change. Like, you guys would laugh me out of the building, wouldn't you? You'd laugh me out of the building. There's no way. There's no way it could ever be the same. It couldn't be.
Yeah, that's fair, isn't it? Exactly right. And especially if they haven't got any other form of income, then exactly.
Yeah, how can it be the same?
But then I think that the problem people have more so is that they try and parade around saying they're objective. And but when people, I know they don't like Froch on a personal level, but one reason people like him as a pundit is let's be honest, he's not dependent on them financially. So he doesn't really give a shit, does he, what anyone says? No. So, and he's going to say what he likes. Like, I think, actually, no, I don't think it was him. That when Pursoon, Malignaggi was on commentary, and you remember Katie Taylor's eating the punches at the end of the fight, and he just says, Pursoon won the fight, guys. And then when it cut back to the studio, wherever they were placed, Froch said it's a robbery, and then Bellew was like, nah, it's not that bad of a robbery, you can't say that, or something stupid like that. And you just think, come on, mate, we know you're a company guy. So, but you're right, though, on that point, it's fair enough, isn't it, really? If that's they get their living, it is a conflict of interest. It is one of them where, like, come on, ain't you one of us? But then, I don't know, then how do you do your job as an objective journalist? I don't have an answer to that. I think you just, like you said, exactly, you may be better off just going, yeah, listen, guys, I work for Matchroom, I work for DAZN, I work for Queensbury, I work for, I don't know, whichever outfit you want to say. That's it, mate. You compromise, aren't you? You're going to promote that agenda. You're going to promote those fighters. You know, you'd say this fighter would beat that fighter, and I don't know, you kind of like have to, don't you? Then at that point, you're right, but then I think the issue people have, if I'm correct, is more that they parade around saying they're objective. I think guys understand that point, that you get, if they've got it, if it's their income and that's what they get paid from. It's like talking shit about your boss all day, isn't it? And then he finds out about it and sacks you.
And I've seen someone do that, and I've seen someone literally get made redundant for doing that. And let me tell you, redundancy is not just something that you just do. You can't just turn around and say, I'm making you redundant. There's a whole thing that comes along with making the manager redundant, yeah? You have to go through HR 150 million times. There have to be 150 million meetings. You can't fill that same position. Once you make that person redundant, you can't just come in and hire for that position again, right? That position has to be gone, do you know what I mean, for a certain period of time. Does that make sense? So it's, we're making this guy redundant. I've seen that happen. I worked for somebody, a boss, who was just a ranted piece of shit, yeah? He was a ranted piece of shit that used to just talk behind my back. He was holding me back my whole career. I should have been promoted several times back in IT. I should have been promoted to second line, third line multiple times. And that guy kept holding me back the whole time. But the big mistake he made was he was slagging off the new director openly in the office, thinking that he wouldn't do anything about it. And what he didn't realize is that the new director, great guy, really good guy. This guy is one of them people who some of the most dangerous people in the game are the people who are like, this guy, the director, hated confrontation. He wouldn't confront anybody. Like, you know, some people are just absolutely, completely non-confrontational. They don't have a confrontational bone in their body. They can't take it. They're so fearful of of losing face, right? They're never going to have a confrontation. But sometimes, right, it's those people that you've got to watch out for, because what they do is they cut your legs from out underneath you.
They're usually the fucking worst, mate. Yeah.
Well, and that's what happened, unfortunately, to him. You know, the director didn't have any confrontation with him. What the director did was went and just chopped his legs off from underneath.
Oh, shit,
literally chopped his legs off. The reason why we were talking about rematch clauses, to get back to the point, was because we're talking about, can Usyk get a decision? And the point I was going to make is the fact that there's a guaranteed rematch clause and the fact that Eddie Hearn has an option on Oleksandr Usyk, does that mean that actually Usyk may get a fair shot on the cards? Because if AJ loses, there's a rematch. They're not going to have to worry about that. They're not going to have to worry about Usyk running off to go and unify with Fury. See, Matcham cracked me up because they talk about how they want to see the division get unified. Well, they don't, because they keep wrapping people up in rematch clauses every time they beat AJ, so they can't run off and get beat by Fury, and then Fury fucking ends up becoming undisputed, right? So that's that. But I was just thinking that's my kind of what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe I've got it wrong. Maybe we will see legit cards because there's a rematch clause in there. There's more money in a potential rematch with Usyk as the champion and AJ back on the redemption arc again. And what do you think about that, Sonny? By the way, if you need to go. If you want to stay still, I don't want to sort of hold you up, but give your opinions if you want to.
So yeah, it's an interesting point you made, but I do wonder if then we come back to the English thing, actually, that do they then think he's not the most marketable man as champion, even though, don't get me wrong, to a boxing fan, even if someone said they didn't follow it for a bit, and then you read out the resume thing, and it's like, fucking hell, this guy's done this, he's done that, he's achieved all these things. From a boxing position, he's very marketable, isn't he? He's phenomenal when you look at his record, what he's achieved. But is it that thing that maybe to counter that point, would it be like, yeah, well, unless he learns English, he's not going to be the most marketable champion? So does AJ still go in with some leeway towards the judges? I don't know. It's a good point, because it definitely surely means that at least Hearn is doubtful, surely. At least Hearn is thinking, well, hang on a second, and he was the one saying it, that we want a rematch clause. Like, I agree with you, something you mentioned on the other points. I don't think AJ himself is scared. I don't think he's a frightened of other fighters.
No way.
The business guys around him, like what Barry Hearn, when bless him, man talk, what was it, radio, whatever, and he just fucking told him everything, like, yeah, we're not going to fight Wilder for like 5-6 years. And I think there's these guys like that are going, listen, don't worry about it, AJ, we've got your best interest at heart. I reckon it'd be these guys that be doing all that, and maybe they've got a bit of doubt after seeing the Ruiz fight, thinking, you know, we have seen him get spanked, so if Usyk gets his start off correctly, he's trained right, like you said, how many people has he genuinely fought that have gone in thinking, right, I'm going to fucking scalp this geezer? Not a lot, actually. A lot of them, like Molina comes to mind. That was a disgrace, that was.
Wow,
there's just like, yeah, those sort of things where it's pay-per-view fight as well, that was. And it's just like, this guy does believe it. So yeah, I don't know with AJ, but I think that does say something about Eddie's mindset. And back to what you said on the scorecards, it's an interesting point, but I just wonder if still the counter argument is he's not the most marketable champion unless he learns English. I don't know, really. And he has been learning. Some people believe he understands it better than he leads on.
I'm one of those people that believes that. I'm no, guys, we've got 71 people in here and 24 likes. If some people can hit the like button, that'd be great. Let me tell you, especially with Lomachenko. Well, we actually saw Lomachenko speak English today in an interview with Kugan Cassius, so I was right about that. Me and Shevin had a little bit of a.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. Sorry, I mean, Lomachenko spoke English today with Kugan, pretty much, and hardly needed the help of an interpreter. Lomachenko cracks me up because I've seen him so many times. I've been around foreign people my whole life. I've been around literally non-English speakers my whole entire life. So it's pretty obvious to me that I would think Lomachenko is a far better English speaker than Usyk, but I think Usyk can understand English. But I think, like I said, sometimes he just leaves it to his interpreter. Sometimes I think they just like to fuck with people and play games with people. I want to ask you about Anthony Joshua, right? And about what is he, in your opinion? Do you think that this guy, and you don't say what I want to hear, just say whatever you want, what you feel. Do you think this guy is a truly elite level? We're looking at like a Lennox Lewis type fighter? Do you think this guy is a truly elite, once in a generation type fighter, right? Or do you think what I think, that Anthony Joshua is a world-class boxer? No question. But even though he's a world-class boxer, perhaps some of his fans are perhaps wanting him to be something that maybe he's not. But that's just, I could be wrong. Like I said, I think he's world-class. But what do you think? Do you think he's that absolute elite? Like, the people that talk about how he would beat Lennox Lewis and how, you know, he's the best heavyweight of the last, 20 years and such. Where do you stand on that?
I'm with the school that I think, like what you've seen, people that usually Lennox Lewis fans have found big time, they don't really rate AJ to that same level. But I think that, again, they're looking at skill set. I think promotion wise, if you didn't know anything about boxing and this was the first time you got into it a few years ago, you would think he's absolutely phenomenal, because they have done a good job promoting him. He's everywhere and being sponsored by all sorts. But no, myself, no, I don't think he's that. I think the most talented in terms of all of those guys that are boxing is Fury. I think the most naturally athletically gifted is Deontay. It's a shame he didn't put more effort into the technical side. I think the dude, you can't teach to hit with that sort of power and these what he does, but it's just a shame they focus so much on that one thing. I think AJ's shown that being a big man changed his life around. He got to a good level, of course he has. Look what he's done. But yeah, I don't think he's the once in a lifetime generation talent. Nah, I think that's unfortunately, like I said, I like Dillian Whyte previous, and I wanted Dillian Whyte to win that fight. I'm not gonna lie, I was never an AJ fan from even back then. I think if he faces AJ now, he maybe gets blasted out even quicker. So I think you have to give him credit that there are certain people that wouldn't beat him. He's not like a chump, is he? That you think, fucking hell, there's 10 guys in the division that beat him. But no, I think as long as, if Deontay loses, but I'm going a little bit off track from your answer, but I just mean, if he loses but doesn't lose so bad, as long as he has a certain amount of athleticism. But he's getting older, and so I think previous Deontay would have iced him. I think he's just too fast. I think he's just too quick. He would have hit him in the first blow. I wonder if he'd have been able to recover from it. And I think Tyson Fury, yeah, it's his to lose really with his brain. But back to the original question now, I don't think he's this once in a lifetime talent. Not me anyway. I've never thought that though.
Let's go through some questions here. Joe says, when all is said and done, Anthony Joshua will become the third greatest British heavyweight in history, but won't crack the top 10 greatest heavyweights of all time, arguably not the top 20. I'm terrible at boxing history. What is the who are the two above him? Oh, you say Fury and Lewis. I think we've got to give him a chance with Fury. I think if Anthony Joshua beats Tyson Fury, then he's going to go above him, regardless.
He's in the conversation easily, yeah.
Oh yeah. So I think and to be honest, that's not bad. Third greatest British heavyweight of all time, but you're second to Lennox Lewis. That's pretty fucking good going, for Anthony Joshua. I have to give him credit for that. That is pretty good going.
Probably what hurts them though is the talk, isn't it? Because I was texting a mate earlier, I haven't spoken to in a while, and he said the same thing. I said, if anything, and I know it's like, the opinion of people say, oh, you would say that like in the old days, which I mean, that was the golden era, surely, when literally everyone fought everyone. Because you go back, and let's say you got into boxing last week and you go, okay, let's look for, you have that mad scene just came to our mind then with Sonny Liston pulling out that fake gun. If you look at those guys getting in a fight, you think, oh, okay, well, let me check out who Foreman fought. If you were going back, all of those guys did pretty much fight each other. It's been difficult to see fights that never really happened. Whereas in here, you're comparing the eras, it's like, wait, what the fuck, mate? Few and far between. We can't really find the actual fights we've wanted. So that's why I find that probably does work against him to a degree, because the promotion's through the roof, but we haven't got the fights really to back that up. Where in the, going back yesteryear, there's a shitload of them, weren't there? Really, like I said, if someone got into boxing and you told them to look at that era, they would probably dive deep into it, going, oh, dude, I watched this last night, I saw this one. I just find that doesn't really help them either. They promote it so much, and then when you go and see a match against someone like Pulev, who's already finished really, and everyone saw him, his heyday was years before that, and then you feel like, oh, that wasn't that great, the guy was shit. And I think from that perspective as well, the hype, the reality doesn't match the hype, does it really? Just, you go in with high expectations, and the matches you'd be most impressed by, the Ruiz ones, and then the Vladimir. Otherwise, I don't know, you could argue, because like we said, the talent isn't there. I don't know, maybe they hype it up too much, and then he fights a knockover that he smacks. I don't know, but I think that works against him too, because there's a lot of build up around it, and if the fight doesn't live up to it, it just looks, I don't know, it's falls flat, doesn't it? Like we said, that's what we're hoping. That he said it does have the ability to be a stinker if both of them go in and they're super cautious. You're just thinking, shit, when's it going to catch fire? And if it doesn't, then even though let's say he beats him on points, it looks good on the record, the resume squad, but the fights are ultimately going to define the fighter, aren't they, really?
I mean, I'm going to ask this question to Riku tomorrow, but I'm going to ask this question now. I want to ask this to all the guys in the chat, and I will read all your comments. I'm skipping a lot of comments in the chat because I'm not even looking at the chat at the minute, to be honest. I'm literally zoned out having a cup of tea, and I'm literally staring, into the ceiling, which has got nicely brightly coloured lights over it. You guys have seen on the stream, so you know all about what looks like. Let me ask you, if the unthinkable happens, well, not the unthinkable, but let's just hype it up a bit. The unthinkable happens and Anthony Joshua gets beat, right, on Saturday night. If he gets beat, what do you think will happen? So obviously we know there'll probably be a rematch. Will there be a rematch? Will there not be a rematch? What will happen between him and Helen? Blah, blah, blah. Give me a scenario. And people in the chat can answer as well, and I'll read it out. But if Anthony Joshua was to get beat on Saturday night, where would he go? And what do you think? And what would the scenarios be?
Well, just a quick point. I like what you said earlier. Well, and I'm sorry, yesterday as well. I did actually like the Caleb Plant stuff. I really liked all that because.
Oh, Jesus. Let me just quickly say, me and Shevin, I'm not joking. We saw a comment on Michael Benson's page today, right? And it was, Canelo Alvarez was basically saying how Canelo said, I spoke to my mum, and she said, well done for defending me. Seriously, this is the crap that Michael Benson's posting up. So apparently Canelo spoke to his mum, and Canelo's mum told him that she was happy that he did what he did because he was defending her honor, right? And somebody in the comment section tweeted basically, can we get a comment from Caleb Plant's mum, right? And I'm pretty sure, I gave him the benefit of the doubt and I explained that she's dead. But some other people jumped in and said they were a scumbag. The impression that I got was that they were taking the piss and that they were making jokes about Caleb Plant's dead mother. I think some of these boxing fans, quote unquote boxing fans, and I think some of the people that I've seen on the internet, particularly on this Michael Benson page, right, I think are an absolute fucking disgrace, to be honest. I think they're an absolute disgrace. And like I said, I'm all for having a laugh and a joke. There's no one who likes a bigger laugh and a joke than me, right? So, I hate it, Sonny, when people try and say, oh, why are you being a snowflake for? Do you know what I mean? Like, why are you being a snowflake? Oh, it's only a laugh. I mean, some things are not a joke, And there are people out there who are making comments about Caleb Plant's family. And I just think those people, like I said before, I'm going to get done if I carry on saying what I want to happen. But I just think those people, they know what they are. What do you think about that? Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I like what he said in terms of, and I 100% agree with that. Being confident in yourself shouldn't be something that people then think, right, we need to disrespect this guy. In terms of those comments, like I said, if any of the guys in the chat are struggling with confidence, having a laugh is different. But if you're actually talking serious, like I said, I said this to my mate, and he started doing it, and he saw changes that improved him. You, in a serious context, you never say anything online, on a text, on a phone call. You'd never say someone's face. Start living that way. Don't try and be Mr. Funny Man on Facebook if you're not a funny dude. Don't try and come up with something that's a smart ass and a serious. 100% agree with you. If it's a laugh, if we're having joke, and it's just, it's a bit of banter, that's different. But yeah, I think there were people that genuinely were trying to get at him, and like you said, the whole thing of he's definitely getting knocked out, blah blah blah. First of all, the whole content is all wrong, isn't it? On that, motherfucker is the exact same thing as saying chump, scumbag, coward, whatever. It's like, he just used it as a filler word, didn't he? Then,
well, there's footage of Canelo Alvarez saying exactly the same thing to Demetrius Andrade. That's
I haven't seen that, so that's interesting.
So Canelo's just a complete, utter hypocrite. For me, I'll be honest and say, I just think the guy's a complete clown. I think he's a complete clown from top to bottom. He had the nerve to turn around and say some BS about how Canelo, I had it hard as well. Yeah, I'm sure you had it hard. Mexico is one of the most dangerous places on earth. I'm sure you had it hard, but you never had it like Caleb Plant, man. You never had it like Caleb Plant had it, bro. Let's be real, man. Canelo Alvarez needs to stop fronting, man. I know you had it hard, right? And I know he took up boxing because he used to get bullied at school and stuff. But let's get real, right? You never grew up like Caleb Plant. You never grew up with a drug addict for a mother who had serious mental problems, who ended up attacking a police officer and getting herself killed. You never sat in a hospital ward and watched a 1.5-year-old daughter die in front of your own eyes. So Canelo needs us to stop fronting about it. You never grew up. You never had no background like Caleb Plant. You never had it, yeah? Now, in terms of whether we'll win that's got no bearing on who will win the fight. But sorry, I had to butt in and say that. Like, what Canelo's been saying is literally nonsensical. But again, goes back to our point. The media don't say anything about it. I watched someone very popular on YouTube talking about Canelo and Plant, and it did annoy me because they were focusing on all the counter punching and all this kind of stuff. They were focusing on, oh, what a counter punch, oh, you slip back, and yeah, but what about what Caleb Plant said about PEDs
I loved that, man. That was so fucking good.
What about that? It's not one journalist, and I'm talking about even people on YouTube or mainstream channels are just not mentioning this PED issue at all. They're not mentioning it. They want to sit there and spend ages talking about how Canelo's so cool and this is what I'll say, and I'll let you talk. I promise. Let me just quickly say this. You're working with Eddie Hearn, right? Eddie Hearn's a guy who on camera said Canelo Alvarez is a drug cheat and his reputation will never be the same. He's literally on camera saying that. I've played it before. He's literally on camera saying Canelo Alvarez is a drug cheat, yeah? We don't know how long he's been treated for. He's a great fighter, but he will always be tainted. That same guy is then going on IFL TV interviews and saying stuff like, oh, man, Canelo was so cool, man. He was so cool. You just don't fuck with Canelo Alvarez. And these dudes just sit there and allow this stuff to happen. And meanwhile, Caleb Plant was making excellent points. The whole of the boxing media should hang their heads in shame. The points this man was making about performance enhancing drugs, you know what's going on. We all know what's going on. But you all sat there in your little fucking seats and you all go on YouTube and you don't say nothing about it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, Hearn's a clown, isn't he, in that way? This geezer here is just fucking hell, isn't he? The epitome of walking contradiction. He said so many things that I like that and that sort of vibe. There's nothing
what do you think about the media not really asking any questions about the meat of what Caleb Plant said at his own press conference? Was that Caleb Plant said he thinks there's a serious problem going on in a particular gym. He made some very, very serious accusations for the majority of his press conference. And no journalist touched it with a barge pole.
They know they're full of shit there, don't they? Because I agree with that. It was a very valid point. He didn't just go up there and go, oh, you drug cheat scumbag. He did start to flesh it out, like he said, with what he said. And let's be honest, they had to try and switch gears. It's a disgrace, again, like we said about the journalism thing, because if they have a problem with him, it shouldn't be like, oh, what happened there? We're exchanging blows. Why don't they actually pick apart his argument? But let's be honest, they swerved it because they knew it was a loser. The people that I can't stand him personally. I'm no fan. I loved it when Floyd smacked him about. I remember that seeing him in the last round and his spirit broken where he wasn't even pushing forward the last sort of 15, 20 seconds, whatever it was. So I am no Canelo fan and never have been, because it's that whole thing, isn't it, of the double standard for drug cheats. I don't believe he beat Triple G, who I believe was the real king of that division, actually, because at best he got a draw and a loss, or draw and a draw, sorry, I should say, for him. He didn't win either of them. No, I don't believe that he did anyway. I'll have to watch him again, but I didn't see him winning either of those fights. So, yeah, I don't care about Canelo. And I think in terms of the media, letting themselves down big time, aren't they, in terms of that, like showing how lenient they are towards his side. But this is the joke, and it's like, if you're a big name, you get away with whatever you fuck you like in boxing, this is why people say it's corrupt, isn't it? You're right, his actual argument, he had validity to it, and they were trying to act like afterwards this guy's being an idiot about things.
Can I just cut in? Can I ask you a question? I'm not saying this got anything to do with race. I'm not trying to come at this from a racial angle. But do you think I'm right in that there was a difference between how Floyd Mayweather Jr. was treated when he was at the top compared to how Canelo Alvarez is being treated when he's at the top? Because when Floyd was at the top, it seemed like he had a target on his back. Everybody was calling him a ducker. He was a diver. Floyd, when you fight him, we all remember Larry Merchant calling Floyd out in the middle of the ring. We all remember the famous interview between Floyd and Brian Kenny on ESPN, with Brian Kenny calling him out for not fighting Manny Pacquiao. Floyd's been called out in the middle of the ring by his own network. Floyd was called out on ESPN and Fox loads of times. But can you not see the massive difference between how Floyd's treated and how Canelo's treated? And the funniest thing is, Floyd is a bigger superstar than Canelo ever was. Like, people keep talking about Canelo as a superstar. Canelo Alvarez is never a superstar like Floyd. He's never a superstar like Floyd. He's never transcended boxing in the way that Floyd Mayweather Jr. has, where he's a household name. He's never done. What he has is huge support. He's got a country behind him. He's got a huge support. He's got an entire country of people that will tune in to watch him on pay-per-view. But let's get it straight. Canelo Alvarez never got into the mainstream like Oscar De La Hoya did. The man was releasing albums, Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya was releasing, I think Oscar De La Hoya may even gone platinum or gold or something. The man was releasing albums and getting in the US charts. He was never on that level, and he was never on the level of Floyd, but yet the media absolutely bend over to him and treat him like he's completely untouchable. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life watching boxing. Sorry, Sonny, give your opinion.
No, I thought to back up that as well. I remember another point, like where you said they swerved the essence of what actually was Plant's argument. They did the same thing with Floyd, because when he'd come to it and say, all right, so like, why are you fighting Marquez? And he went, well, he's got the same dimensions, doesn't he? Height and reach and all that as Manny Pacquiao. But then they were saying he was too big for him. So yeah, he did catch him, and they wouldn't address that and say, actually, you're right, because we have said Marquez is too small for you. And they basically had the excuse loaded, didn't they? But I agree with that. I think Floyd, I was a massive Floyd fan. I thought that he had a huge target on his back, as you said, and it's just one of these where, I don't know, maybe it's the race thing. They did, at the same time, Floyd was smart, though, wasn't he? Floyd was very intelligent at being able to seem like he was the flash black guy that was spending money and doing what the fuck he liked, even though he was living the life behind the scenes. So he was smart enough to make himself the bad guy and monetize it. And the note of Canelo being a star, yeah, I don't. I said this to Chevron as a joke, like, but it was true though. Like not long ago, we was chatting that my mom doesn't know who AJ is. Mom doesn't know who Canelo is. She knows who Floyd is. She knows who David Haye is. She knows who Eubank Jr. is. She knows who Amir Khan is, and she knows who like Senior, the other Tyson Fury. She knows some like the more known names. But yeah, people like that very casual fans don't know who Canelo is. I definitely think he's not anywhere near the superstar. Maybe they act like he is. I don't know. It's almost if they thought when Floyd retired, he took the mantle because Broner didn't. But I don't agree with that either. But he has had those favourable decisions given to him where it was the opposite, wasn't it, for Floyd? Floyd got a bloody draw, didn't he, on that CJ Ross card against Canelo?
Let me just show you this about stars quickly. We're going to end in 5 minutes. People talking about Canelo as a star. This is Oscar De La Hoya's Wikipedia. Let me just have a look at this. Look, hold on. I'm going to show you about Oscar De La Hoya.
Be careful what you bring up with him, isn't he?
Well, yeah. But you talk about Oscar De La Hoya. Let's have a look here. One sec. There's a reason I'm doing this, and I've completely lost my position. In 2000, EMI International released Oscar De La Hoya. The self-titled CD is a Latin pop album with 13 tracks in both England and Spanish, written by Diane Warren and the Bee Gees. Look at this. And was nominated for a Grammy. Now, I don't know if they mean the Latin Grammys or a Grammy.
But still an achievement.
But Oscar De La Hoya was a Grammy-nominated recording artist. And you've got these people acting like Canelo's the... Do you know what I saw as well, by the way? Oscar De La Hoya recently came out and said he could beat Canelo, right? Which is what he's supposed to say. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not joking. I'm not going to do that. Guys in the Michael Benson comments, Canelo would destroy De La Hoya. What? Destroy Oscar De La Hoya? It's bizarre. Like, I don't understand. Like, this is absolutely bizarre stuff. But sorry, I know I'm going off at a tangent there, but I'm just trying to make it clear. Like, Canelo Alvarez has never in his life been anywhere like the kind of star that Oscar De La Hoya was, ever. Like, you can see here, clothing lines, a Grammy nominated. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, the guy, and look how successful he was as his own promoter. At one point, Golden Boy Promotions was the #1 in the world. Sorry, Sonny, carry on.
Yeah, no, it's all right. And on that note, he was considered the A-side, wasn't he, actually going into the Floyd fight as well?
Oh, easy, yeah. No, easy.
Yeah,
easy.
But for people who followed boxing, 3 years ago, it was 2017 when AJ came into the mix beating, they wouldn't have seen that. But yeah, he went in and it was a split decision, actually, wasn't it, as well? That one was.
It was, yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think that he was never the biggest star compared to Canelo, and Canelo had it's extremely one-sided. I haven't watched that fight in a while, but I don't know if I would even give one round to Canelo versus Floyd off the top of my head. I just remember it being dominant. Maybe the first round, like he does when he sort of does what he does and it collects data, Floyd. But otherwise, I never liked Canelo. And then when the drug cheat stuff come out, it was just on another level. That they even gave him a ban, and it wasn't a retrospective ban. So even
I think the WBC, the way the WBC have handled what's gone on with him and Valdez has been a disgrace. And by the way, Eddie Reynoso, I have to say, I know we lay into Eddie Hearn. I have to say, Eddie Reynoso, in my opinion, is one of the biggest clowns in boxing. Like, he's one of the biggest clowns I have seen in boxing. Like, this guy, I know he trained Canelo since he was young and stuff, but I mean, all this stuff about Eddie Reynoso is the trainer of the year. I mean, are you serious? And Eddie Reynoso, with his fat gut, is then going up on stage and this guy is running around telling Caleb Plant about how Caleb Plant doesn't work hard, and the difference between Caleb Plant and Canelo is hard work. When 2 of his fighters have had very, very dubious drug test results come back. That's now 2 fighters out of his gym who have come back in the last couple of years with very, very questionable drug test results. And you've got Fat Eddie Reynoso coming on stage and telling people about working hard. The guy who basically eats and lives and breathes off Canelo Alvarez. Because does anybody really believe that Andy Ruiz and Oscar Valdez would give this guy the time of day if Canelo wasn't in the same camp?
Yeah, well, on the drug note, randomly, you know, like maybe this is an argument how easily people can get a hold of it. When I was first on dialysis in the early days, they used to give you the EPO injections you used to get. So I know it's got a longer name, but they abbreviate it to EPO. So I would take the injection with me to dialysis, and when they would change the dose you were on, they didn't take the other ones back from you. They gave you the new ones in a new delivery. So I didn't do it because it was been fucked up, but I could have sold them, couldn't I, at the local boxing club and been like, dude, fucking no questions asked, 100 quid. Someone was telling me 100, 150 quid, whatever it was, an injection. I wouldn't have done it because I believe in karma personally. If I'd sold it to someone and then they splattered someone's brains, that wouldn't have been ethical at all, man. It's fucked up. But I'm just saying it. I don't think people realize sometimes how easy this stuff is to get a hold of. It's really not that difficult, but I guess it's finding out who's who. Obviously, I don't have a whole wardrobe. I take steroids, but because of medical reasons, not anabolic. I just mean, I think there are ways, you know, that people can get hold of this stuff and they're not quite aware of the sort of things and sort of ways. But obviously these guys are you were talking about experts, ain't you, who know how to get it out of the system and cycle it. I do think that sort of like fake outrage shit of I don't know, just Reynoso, the whole camp of idiots, aren't they know what they're doing, and then to get offended by what someone else is saying is stupid. It's like, if you have a problem, back to what you said originally, if you have an issue with him, address his argument and say, hang on.
Well, that's it. And that's the real reason why Canelo got so angry. The real reason why Canelo Alvarez got angry at Caleb Plant, was because he had no counter to what Caleb Plant was actually saying. And what Caleb Plant had been saying. Caleb Plant's been saying this for a while. Caleb Plant was talking about that particular gym for weeks on Twitter, even before the press conference. And I suspect that's the real reason why Canelo was so heated. Because of those comments, because Caleb Plant is basically come out and said the entire gym are cheats. He said it on thingamajiggy on Twitter. He literally said that entire gym are on it. That's what he said, and I think that's the real reason why Canelo got upset. Nothing to do with this, motherfucker rubbish that he's coming up with now.
No, I don't think that either. Yeah, nah. I agree with you on that. I think I wrote that down. Was it Haye's channel? Yeah, I was on. He put a video, didn't he, earlier about, did you see the 2-piece, whatever? And I wrote, Canelo can't handle the truth, I guess, something like that. Because that's exactly what I thought. My thoughts exactly that. That was the scapegoat. That was the plausible deniability.
Well, who said that? Did someone say Canelo can't handle the truth? Who said that?
I posted that on Haye's video. He wrote something like he can't handle. He hit him with a 2-piece. That's the one. And I wrote something like Canelo can't handle the truth. So I'm just saying, I'm not changing my mind now. If someone wants to check out the receipts there, I'm just saying I think that it's one of those where he had a scapegoat, didn't he? And he had the plausible deniability to be like, you shouldn't talk about my mom because that is something people get heated about. And if you think you're not joking, but especially if he said to Andrade, he knows exactly the context. So it was his in, wasn't it? It was his in to disrupt things, to take away from, because he could have just carried on going, well, actually, but am I wrong here? Did you not test? So I know Billy Joe Saunders said it a bit, but they said it when they're face to face with the whole juicy beef. He said it in the first press conference. So
and Billy Joe had no credibility either, because
exactly, Mr. Nasal.
That's the thing. Billy Joe had no credibility saying that.
Yeah, Mr. Nasal Spray, exactly, and it was just.
Last question. I'm gonna have to go, but last question before we go, Billy Joe, do you think he will retire? Yes or no? And what do you think about his career? Because they asked Canelo about that as well. Canelo's comments were, well, you know what happens when you upset me and you get in the ring with me. You know what I do to people. So Canelo's there making threats. But the news is that basically Billy Joe Saunders is close to retirement. It's Eubank or retirement for him. And I don't think he's going to get the Eubank fight. So it's looking like we've probably seen Billy Joe in the ring for the last time. And by the way, he looks not in fight shape. If anybody's seen the recent... I didn't watch the IFL TV interview because I've got better things to do. But if you look at the recent thumbnails of him being interviewed by, I think it was Umar Ahmed, he's not in fight shape at all.
I did actually watch that one, and I got some shit from some people because I just literally put a quote of exactly what he said in the chat of that. If my 2 eye sockets were smashed, if my kneecaps were broken, somebody hit me with an elbow, all that crazy stuff. I don't know. I wonder if Sky are going to back him, because I said he was one of the faces, isn't he, of the new takeover. So would they? I don't know. 5 million is a bit ridiculous. So would he settle with like a 2 or 3 million and face Junior? Maybe he doesn't want to end on a loss. So I think there's maybe that fight left. I definitely think there's no chance he's rematching Canelo, because that will be a knockout. So yeah, there's a slight chance. Otherwise, yeah, retire. I think it depends how much they back you. Bank, and would they go right? 3 million. How about that, Billy Joe? Last final offer, whatever. Because 5's a bit. So I can see why they wouldn't want that.
Yeah, but he's gonna have to get into shape as well for it, and that's the thing. I mean, I don't know what you thought he looked like, but I looked at him in the thumbnail. He looked to me like he's like heavyweight, possibly cruiser and more.
Yeah, he hasn't trained. You're right. He hasn't trained at all, has he, since that time? But then that's what I wonder. Would you catch him on the ego that with Eubank saying shit? Does it actually phase him? Because he does seem. I know he says it doesn't bother him and that, but the amount he insults people and says things, I think Billy Joe Saunders can be gotten to in that way. That if he sees enough shit of Eubank, would he think, right, I'm going to fucking sort this prick out? And then does Eubank get his fight? I believe so. I don't think he wants to end on a loss. The only thing is, I don't see it happening right now. Exactly what he said. He doesn't look in shape. So does Eubank need to go out and? I don't know who else does he have lined up, and not the knockover job. But I mean, after that, I don't know. Does he face one of the Charlos, or does he face someone that? Then I don't know.
He's not. He won't fight the Charlos. If he had the intention of fighting the Charlos, he would have stayed with Al Heyman. He had a fight with Al Heyman.
Yeah, true.
He didn't have a lot of fights with Al Heyman, but he had a fight with Al Heyman. He got schooled by Matvey Korobov. Korobov's shoulder fell out, and then Eubank was never seen again. And they were trying to maneuver him in with Charlo.
Yeah, and then this is the thing, isn't it? But at the same time, Billy Joe Saunders, you can see he hasn't took it seriously for a while. So I don't know. It's hard. I know I'm sitting on the fence, isn't it? You can see him just turn around, going, "That's it, right? I'm done," and saying he doesn't give a shit. He's made enough money. He doesn't need to box again.
Sonny, let me quickly ask you one question. Sorry, I know I'm cutting you out. Do you think he quit? You don't have to say it. I just wanted to ask you why you were here. Because I can't remember your actual opinion on the whole thing against Canelo. Do you think he jacked it in, or do you believe the story that Ben Davison told about he didn't want to quit and all this? Sorry, what was your opinion on that?
No, I think he did. I thought he quit. I thought he didn't want it anymore, really.
It's horrible to say, isn't it? It's a horrible thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Because like I said, I'm sticking my own terminology. I don't like saying shit about anyone. Like we're not fucking around here. I'm saying a serious opinion, so I don't want to seem like I'm talking shit about someone and then be like, "Oh, we'll say it to his face." It's like I wouldn't want to start shit with professional boxers, but honest opinion, I don't think that. I don't think he did want to carry on. I think whatever he said about Dubois, actually, to be honest, when he was in that situation and felt that pain, thought, you know what, actually, I don't fucking fancy this. And that's one thing I do agree. We can't tell someone what to do when we're not in that situation. I haven't been there, haven't got my orbital. I've been to different operations and I've got through them in my way. I don't know what that's like, but I do think, unfortunately, he put himself in a corner. Once he said that, the only way that things would go, he had to come out, didn't he? And then I think the thing that adds even more, if we weren't sure, was the interview after they got pulled. If I had doubt, I thought that swung it then. That when you had the whole thing of I wasn't getting the body language, and Radio Rahim, just on that note, to be fair to say about professionals, I think Radio Rahim is fucking excellent at what he does.
Oh yeah, you know, Radio Rahim's a pro. He's a pro, and that's the reason why Wilder tried to take his head off clean, isn't it? That's what happens. That's what happens when you ask questions, don't you?
Oh, that was hilarious. As much as I'm a Deontay fan, I was thinking, fucking hell, dude. Like, he's asking the questions, isn't he? But in fairness, it did create that moment and it got them views. So I think they are pals behind the scene. But yeah, and it's also that other interview from going back a few years. But I remember when I think he was the one that got Ortiz to admit he wanted a headbutt. And if you guys watch that interview, Ortiz tried to be passive aggressive, and I thought he's trying to say something like, "Let me show you this left hook," or "I'm going to try." And I think, is he trying to actually land a bit of a semi shot on Radio Rahim, because Radio Rahim got him to admit it and said, "Yeah, but you were doing this," and he got him to confess and go, "Yeah, I tried to butt Floyd." So he pushed him back on something. So, but on that note, yeah, Radio Rahim, I don't think he's trying to catch out anyone. I think he just was fair enough with what he said. Really, as the question.
He trains as well. He's literally the only boxing journalist I've seen on YouTube. There's only two I can think of that actually train, that actually do any boxing.
Yeah, I saw him with David Haye gym, didn't he? He was with David and Shaw at the time when they were there.
And the other one, I'm not saying he's a good journalist or that he's even, blah, 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 but Michael Montero. Those are the only two guys that I can think of, right, that actually either have YouTube channels, right, or quite high-profile YouTube channels, or, work for the media, actually go in and do what they talk about. Michael Montero and Radio Rahim, they both train.
Yeah. Boxing work, yeah. The girls put in work, but in a different way, isn't it? But no,
Oh, Jesus.
yeah. But what you said there, I agree with that in terms of I thought how he spoke. That was a thing anyway for me. Sorry to come back to it then. So what I thought that was after the Tibbs interview, then he got pulled. I did think like, yeah, sorry, but he's jacked it here, hasn't he? And he's rather than leaving it on, and that part that pissed me off, slightly going off track, was like what Porky said, 55, 56 videos on Daniel Dubois quitting, who's 22, 23. He can grow, he can evolve. If the injury heals, he can come back. And everyone put the boots in. Everybody could get in front of a camera, put the boots in, and it was completely different with Billy Joe Saunders. So that on a personal level annoyed me. So yeah, I do think he quit though, to answer the question.
To close off, Andrade, that's someone who Billy Joe Saunders should be fighting for a world title. He'll be fighting Jason quickly, according to Eddie Hearn. I did see this on Michael Benson's page earlier. It's looking likely that we're getting Demetrius Andrade versus Jason quickly. Give me 5 seconds on that.
I haven't seen anything on it, actually. Shit.
Yeah. No, seriously, I'm pretty sure I saw that on Benson's page today. Let me know. But I'm pretty sure Hearn has said that Jason Quigley is the front runner to fight Demetrius Andrade.
Well, I haven't seen anything on that. Let me come back to that. I wanted to answer a question you said earlier, and we got sidetracked, which was the scenario thing. I thought was quite a good question. You said,
okay. What if AJ gets beat?
I think that I'd reckon, if I'm correct, the only scenario he turns his back on AJ is if he gets iced by Tyson Fury or Deontay. Someone's a really, really bad knockout. I think a points loss or something that's not too bad. I don't see Hearn not having him as the face. If somehow this turns into one of those crazy nights and something crazy like that happens, I don't know if it's interesting, isn't it? People are right with his English, and he sparks AJ about all odds. He beats him in 4 or 5 rounds, something crazy like that. Who knows? Could he actually? Because Usyk is marketable, bar the English, isn't he? I think you get him to speak English, no problem, which we do all believe, don't we? That he definitely knows better than, like, sorry, excuse me for saying this, lads, but I think he pretends like he's Johnny Foreigner, but we know he knows more than what he shows, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, so a bad knockout to AJ early on, yeah, maybe he does, but then you got the rematch, haven't you? So I think he does think that, I don't know, I'm contradicting myself here, aren't I? Because I think, why would you put a rematch in then if you think you'd get the job done? So
well, to be fair to Hearn, maybe, like I said, clash of heads. Usyk's 3 rounds, 4 rounds up, back up. AJ loses the title on a discrepancy. Like when we saw it happen, something similar, not the same. We saw something similar happen, obviously, between Warrington. So the clash of heads. AJ loses the championship on the cards. Usyk then goes and unifies or becomes undisputed with Tyson Fury. There's no doubt in my mind that Tyson Fury beats Oleksandr Usyk every single. I wouldn't give Usyk a chance in hell against Fury. I just think the style's it's a bad matchup for him, to be honest. Ingram's here. Hey, Ingram, how you doing, Ingram? Ingram, like I said, you're welcome to join me and Sonny if you want to, or you can just listen. Just say we're going to pop off in 5 or 10 minutes, but you're always welcome, my man.
When you said it a headache on a random note, have you been drinking a lot today? Like, you're quite hydrated? Because just to say, lads, that's usually the first sign, isn't it, that you get a headache if you're dehydrated?
Yeah, no, I actually drank quite a bit of water today, and I don't drink or do drugs of any kind, Sonny.
Coffee does dehydrate you though if you have too many.
Sonny, I don't even drink coffee. Never.
Same.
I've probably had about 5 coffees in 5 years. I don't touch the stuff. I'm really bad with it. I don't touch it. What my thing is. My thing is Indian takeaways. Seriously, takeaways is where that's my vice. My money doesn't go on, it goes on takeaways. Let's put it that way. I think we're going to get Ingram to come in very, very quickly just before the end of the show. Sonny, look, I think you were brilliant tonight. And so, yeah, I think we're going to have to fit you in. I've got Riku on tomorrow at 7 p.m. Man, that's going to be fire. Let's get Sonny back on the show. So I think the people like it, and I think that's good. Do you know what, Sonny? Do you know who you remind me of? You remind me a little bit of Kent, and a lot of people wanted Kent on this show. But
was he the Irish chap from Porky?
Yeah, a lot of people wanted Kent on this show, but actually, I don't know why. So I think going forward, I know you've got your own channel. By the way, talk about promoting channels. I'd actually promote your channel because, see, I'm not one of those people that see when I'm, unlike other places, say no names, pretend to be your friend, and then when it comes time to return the favor, all of a sudden they forget who you are, innit? We know who these people are, innit? We know who these people are. All right, Sonny. Any final words? I've got the link. Ingram, the link's in the chat if you want to quickly pop on. Sonny, give us your final words. And I think, Sonny, to be honest, I'll try and get you in if you can. Because what it's going to be, there's either going to be a post show, but I also want to do a Sunday show, an aftermath show on Sunday. And I'm trying to get Riku in to do the Sunday show as well. But I'm happy to have you on there doubling up with him as well. So I'll ask you, all right? Get in touch with me by email, Sonny. But for now, give us your final thoughts. Ingram, if you want to pop in as well, there's the link. Sonny Singh, final thoughts.
Well, I ain't got the most boxing brain, so it's been good chatting to you guys, because I did get into a while back, but I didn't really started, like I said, getting into actual fighting myself a few years ago. So that's why hopefully, yeah, it's still been entertaining and not been like too casual. The only thing I forgot, Dave Lane is blowing me up. I just in the comments said, this dude's been so polite. Dude, I really appreciate it. He's so kind. And people asking about the channel. The only thing that's holding me back, like I said, is I've got to get this stuff sorted on Facebook, Photoshop and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's just that this week's been, I don't know, the health stuff and the medication. I've got to wait a few more weeks to make changes. So unfortunately, it's dragging out. At the absolute latest, it'll be in a few months' time. But I did say to these guys, if I could just maybe do audio only and find a way around just making videos like that, that would be cool. I did want to appear in front of the camera, but not when I was looking like a shell of myself. And then at the same time, you're saying about the weight, I'm like, yeah, I need to bloody shape back up because I haven't been in shape for a while. But otherwise, yeah, with regards to this stuff, really appreciate you having me on, dude. It's always a good chat, isn't it? It's a good laugh, man. It's a good group of guys, so I really appreciate that. And I don't know what else I really let's see what happens on Saturday. I'll try and catch the thing tomorrow. It's only problem is not problem, it's just that it is well, on the note of Dave said, it's a volunteering thing that I do, and it's 6 till 10. So like I'll have it on in between when I can do it, but I'll catch it because I do like Riku. I think he's solid as well, and I like Terry on Porky's channel, so that'd be quite cool to hear what Rico's got to say and your interaction with him. Do you know what I mean? Stars makes fights, isn't it, lads? So wicked.
The biggest mistake I made was not getting Riku on when the sub numbers were significantly higher. The idea was in my head, and it's one of them things I just sat on it and said, I'll do it tomorrow, and tomorrow never came, Sonny. Tomorrow never came. And there it was.
But you bounced back though. You've been resilient, haven't you? So everything happens for a reason. You know what I mean, dude? Not do the George Groves thing and everything for a reason, but it is, isn't it? It's like that. Things happen when they're supposed to happen at times. So it's all good. But thanks, dude. Appreciate you having me on. Hopefully you're well, healthy, and catch everybody kind of on the stream tomorrow and probably Saturday, innit?
All right. Well, we'll see Sonny Singh back on these shores. Like I said before, as long as we still have a YouTube channel, you'll be seeing Sonny Singh. We'll be fitting him back in again on.
Take it over, Ingram. Take it over.
On one of our channels. All right, Sonny. Let's bring in the main man. The man who's going to be doing post fight for this show. I'm letting him listen. If Anthony Joshua gets beat, I'm letting Ingram take. Or if Anthony Joshua wins in 20 rounds, I'm letting Ingram take all the heat from the fanboys. I'm setting Ingram up as the fool guy. That's why I've got him coming in. I've got him coming in as the fool guy. Ingram, do you know what? Yeah, I didn't watch your. I haven't watched your videos. I meant to watch the one with Bashir actually because I know he trained Usyk, so I'll go back and watch that. I know you didn't ask me to. Yesterday on yesterday's show, I did tell people that you were going live with Stacey McKinley. I'm not going to be staying for long for Ingram. I'm going about 5 minutes or so. But let's hear it from you. Yeah, final thoughts before you do our post fight for us on Saturday night. What are your thoughts about the way? Let me start off by asking you actually, what do you think about the build up? Like, what do you think about the media workout and these press conferences? I think they've been pretty crap. What do you think about
that? Media workouts are a waste of time. First and foremost, always been a waste of time. I've been so close to so many boxers that when a media day comes, they're like, oh my God, we have to do a media workout. Okay, we'll go and do a shakeout. It's a waste of time. The boxers really don't want to be there, but because the media are there, they have to do it because it's a commitment in their contract. Media workouts are a waste of time. And as for, it's no longer, it's President Joshua now. That press conference was
President Joshua.
Absolutely garbage. He talked from a professor and he kept saying, yeah, you know, just want to thank everyone that's in the room. Yeah, I want to thank everyone. And I've been practicing, I've been practicing. Yeah, I've been practicing against a right-hander. Mate, you're fighting against a southpaw and you've been practicing. So I don't know what.
He did say that. He did say that. He did say you've been practicing against the right-hander. I noticed that. Actually.
Yeah, I've been practicing. Yeah, I'm still practicing on Monday. Yeah, Monday I'm practicing. I don't care. Why are you telling me this? I don't care. Like, and then the other side, you've got like Usyk dressed like a crown prince. Like, what? I mean,
what is he dressing like? Yeah,
like the Joker.
He looked like Spike O'Sullivan a bit, didn't he? Actually, he had a bit of a Spike O'Sullivan about him today.
It was a cross between Charles Bronson and the Joker without no makeup on.
Oh my God!
Joshua is like he's. I think he's like the black version of Robert McCracken. I swear he's become the black. Like McCracken, you ask McCracken a question and say, Rob, what do you think of this fight? Yeah, well, Usyk's like, he's a very talented fighter. Yeah, he's a gold medalist, undisputed cruiserweight champion. And Rob McCracken never looks excited about anything. If you ask Rob McCracken, Rob, how was sex last night? Yeah, sex was good last night. It was like. And then you've got Joshua right next to him now, who's become Rob McCracken in a second. It's like, how you feel about the fight? Yeah, I've been practicing. I'm really happy to have everybody here, and I'm really grateful that everyone's here, and I want to thank everybody. And what are you a rock star? Are you doing something from the Oscars? What the hell are you doing? You're the heavyweight freaking champion of the world. Man's in your backyard looking to take your head off, and you're thanking everybody and saying, "Oh yeah, I like the Ukrainian style. I like the Ukrainian people." You're about to face a complete psycho, right? An absolute psycho. Usyk is, yeah. He's liable to drop his hands and let Joshua hit him on the chin. He's that crazy. Usyk is, and he's I like his style. I like Ukrainian style. Yeah, well, I was this, and I don't care. You're the heavyweight, you're the unified heavyweight champion of the world. You should be turning around and say, you're getting it. You're too small. You're getting it. Saturday night, you are getting it, knocking you and your team back to Ukraine, right? You're not getting no belts. That's what I want to see. I want to see some hunger, some determination, some fire. What
about that handshake from AJ? He's always going in for the handshake in these kind of fights as well. Have you noticed that? He's always doing the whole sort of, shake your hand, give it that stuff.
He's carrying the same bullshit he carried on with the Andy Ruiz one, where he gave Andy Ruiz the belt. I mean, is he really? Do
you remember that? Yeah, when he gave Andy Ruiz the belt. What was that about?
Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to say.
Can you imagine Lennox Lewis giving someone else his belts and letting him pose with him?
Wait. Okay, just for a second, people think I'm hating on Joshua. Just imagine Mike Tyson sitting in that same space Joshua was. Would he be thanking the audience and then telling the Ukrainian style? You'd be telling Usyk exactly what time of day it was. Lennox would be telling him what time of day it was. Bo would be telling him what time of day it was. Evander Holyfield would be telling him what time of day it was. But Joshua is like welcoming, like he's the tourist guide for Tottenham Football Ground.
Yeah, I was about to say that like he's a tourist guide. Yeah, I was literally about to say the same thing.
I mean, what are we looking at here? I mean, what? He's become so passive. I think to myself, and I wonder who the heavyweight champion of the world is, because you look at Usyk, and Usyk actually looks like a man who could be heavyweight champion of the world. He's got a demeanor about him. He's got an aura about him. But Joshua, he looks like a man who's already retired. The mentality, the mindset. And why are you telling people, I'm if you might not already know, but I'm in training camp. Yeah, I'm still training. I'm in training camp. I don't give a damn. And you're gonna call and tell me that you're pay-per-view.
Well, they got my money. They got my money. They got me, bro.
Oh my god! And then you've got Adam Smith in background, mouth watering stuff.
Well, hold on. Let me just butt in on Adam Smith, right? I'm not joking. Yeah. I watched the run up to the press conference between Usyk and Anthony Joshua. Yeah. Matthew Macklin was actually doing all. Yeah, but listen, Matthew Macklin was actually doing semi-decent, right? Now you had Matthew Macklin was giving his opinion and his experience about what it's like to be in a world title fight, right? Fight for a world title. And whatever you think of Matthew Macklin, he did get in the ring with a prime Gennady Golovkin. I mean, the killer Golovkin, right?
He did.
Now, at one point, this is what he said. He said, "Oh, I have to go out now," and Woolhouse said, "Yeah, you're being subbed out because we're getting Adam Smith on." And I tweeted at the time, I just said, think of the concept of what's just happened there. You're subbing off, right? A world championship contender, right? Who's been in with one of the biggest punches, in boxing, in the last 15, 20 years. One of the most murderous punches in boxing, right? Mm-hmm. Macklin, let's go along with it for argument's sake. And you're subbing him off. You're subbing him off to bring on
for Mr. Bean.
Adam Smith, a guy who's never been in a boxing gym. We've got footage of Adam Smith on the pads. I can't find it, but he's absolutely dreadful. Right? He's never scarred. Well, I can't find it. I'll try and find it in the meantime. But let me ask you this. What have you thought about the level of journalism? Because I feel really sorry for Anthony Joshua because I think the questions that have been asked of him are boring. They're the same old questions. You know, it's a bunch of idiots asking obvious questions about game plans and things. And I just think he's fed up with it all. And I just think it makes bad rates for the viewers. What do you think about the level of journalism?
It's quite. You've got to remember, all this stuff is controlled. It's very much controlled. Anyone who's gone to his press conferences and is not part of the clique, it is very much controlled. I remember the time I used to ask questions at press conferences. Yeah, I swear to God, hands down, people would stop what they're doing and literally stand beside. As I'm interviewing Tyson Fury, they would stand beside and listen to me do my interview with Tyson Fury, and then they would go and ask Tyson Fury literally the same freaking questions afterwards. That is the. I'm not being funny. That is the level. I can't do them press conferences. I simply can't do those press conferences. I can't do it. It's mind numbing. It's like a bunch of I don't know what to describe. Like it's like a playground.
They're trying to get sound bites, aren't they? They don't really care about the. I mean, I'll just quickly say, Kugan Kaitis did a 20-minute interview, one-on-one with Anthony Joshua over a webcam. Right? I watched the whole thing. 20-minute interview. He asked one question about Anthony Joshua's opponent. Anthony Joshua was in the middle of camp. Yeah. He asked Anthony Joshua one question about his opponent. The other 90 minutes was about the Tyson Fury fight. Carry on. Remember, because these guys, when they get to that level, all their questions are controlled. The questions are controlled. They've got a script. They follow a script, and that's it. They follow a script. None of these people are mavericks you're looking at here. They're all scripted. And if they want to stay in the game, they've got to play the game. That's how it goes. They're scripted. A lot of these people are scripted. I know how it works. Many a times you can ask me this question. We can't talk about that. Same with the medium workouts. I've been from heavyweight champions to people who are just fighting for area titles. Bottom line is the same thing happens. They go, they say, you know what? Don't worry about the media workout. What we can do at the media workout, we'll have a shakeout. What does that mean? I'll throw a couple of punches here and there, and that'll be it. I don't want to give anything away. And then you've got these people who are absolutely pundits that are lying out through their teeth, telling you to say, "Yeah, I can see he's been working on some new things." I'm like, what can you see there? He throws up a couple of jabs. Yeah, the jab looks nice and snappy there. And I mean, he's doing a workout for a few minutes, and that is it. You cannot analyze anything from that workout. You really can't. Yeah, he's been working with his new trainer now, and you can see he's doing some great new things now. It takes a new trainer at least 3 to 4 fights before we really get to see, or even more so than that, before we really get to see that trainer's influence, particularly if a fight has been with another trainer beforehand for a long period of time. So I don't know where they... Sorry, carry on. Go on. What do you think about the people clinging on to AJ's weight? Because most of the talk this week seems to be around this magical thing about weight. They seem to be obsessed with Anthony Joshua's weight and is he slimming down? Is he not slimming down? To me, I'll be honest with you, he may look a little bit more streamlined, but to be honest, he doesn't look to be a huge difference. What do you make about this media obsession with how much Anthony Joshua weighs, and how much do you think it actually matters in terms of who wins on Saturday night?
When you listen to these people, a lot of these people don't know much about boxing. I mean, real boxing science. They're not going to sit down and talk to you, break down and talk to you about technically Joshua's weakness is why he's weak down his left-hand side, and now he's fighting a guy who actually is very good by his left-hand side because he's a southpaw. They're not going to break it down that way. When you see people talking about weight and height, and that means they don't really believe in their boxing ability. You'll find that a lot. They'll say, yeah, look at Rocky Fielding. He's tall at the weight. He's a big guy he's a big guy at the weight. But can he box? Can he box? You're not asking. We're watching boxing there. We're not doing weightlifting. We're not doing powerlifting. We're not. It's about boxing skill. Can he box? He's tall. He's much taller than him, and he's got longer arms. But can he use those arms? Can he use that reach advantage? Has he got a good jab? Does he know distance and timing? And how good is the other guy? No, we don't hear those things. Have you actually heard Adam Smith break down a fight? Scientifically break a fight down. Wow, look at this tonight. We've got a cracking fight here with Joshua and Usyk. 2 gold medal Olympics champions. Yes, that's what we've got here tonight. Could it be the end of the road for Anthony Joshua? Should he lose tonight? And for Oleksandr Usyk, what happens with a man from Ukraine? He looks a bit like the Joker. I mean, really, it's mind-numbing. These people, these people should not be doing boxing. These people need to find jobs working at banks and work in a stock exchange, but don't have anything to do with boxing. Adams has got to go. Why don't they get people who actually know boxing and actually can talk about boxing in a real, like, you've got so many people around the world that know boxing well. Why don't they get a world-class trainer in? And if they even put Peter Fury in there, they would get value for money. Because
I agree with that.
Peter would break it down. Peter would he'd fit in well. He'd fit in well in the sense that, like Paulie Malignaggi, the people why people like Paulie was because Paulie spoke his mind.
Yeah,
he spoke his mind, and that's why people find it refreshing.
But with Peter Fury can say a lot in not a lot of words as well. He's not like a micro. He's quite short with his words, but his words actually mean something. So actually, he'd be really good for TV because he wouldn't waffle on for 600 minutes just trying to get a single point out. So
he'd be very good. I'd get rid of Bellew. I'd get rid of Bellew for a start. I'd get Bellew, Spencer, Oliver. He'd go as well. Barker would go. Barker would go.
How is he still on TV? How is Spencer? Anyway, let me ask you something. What's your prediction for the fight? My prediction is Anthony Joshua by KO. That's my prediction. What's your prediction for the fight?
Well, Joshua's got so many advantages going to his fight. I've now found that it's a 20-foot ring. A 20.
People keep talking about that. Isn't that standard? Isn't it always 22 foot? I don't understand it. Is that standard or not?
I don't know if it's standard, but I know that 2 jabs and Mr. Usyk's going to be touching the back of the ropes. I know that much.
Right.
So when that happens, you use the double jab. Once he uses that double jab, Usyk's back is against the ropes. So he's probably got the smallest possible ring, so Usyk can't move anywhere. And as long as Joshua keeps it, like he's got to go inside of that jab. If he keeps on the outside of that jab, he'll get pinged like how.
I said exactly the same thing last night. Yeah, I said the same thing.
He's got to get mid close. Range.
Yeah, I agree. I said exactly the same thing.
And honestly, I don't. And he's got to use the uppercut when Usyk's going to throw them punches. He's got to slide the uppercut through the middle because Usyk is way open to the uppercut. So when he's coming throw them shots like he used to do, slip under, bang the right uppercut straight up through the middle. I think that's a shot he needs to look at for Usyk. Work Usyk's body as well, but he's got to stay close to Usyk.
So you go for Anthony Joshua to win?
I don't know, man. That chin of Joshua his chin is so dodgy. His chin is dodgy, and his mental application I don't like. I don't like it. I mean, I don't like the way I don't see the Joshua who fought Dominic Brazil. I don't see that Joshua. When
Roadman Joshua, he was telling Dominic Brazil that Dominic Brazil didn't know what he was going to dealing with. He was going to knock him out before the fight. Went all Roadman on him, didn't he?
Look, you're not about that life. You're not about that life.
That's it. Yeah, you're not about that life. AJ.
That AJ, that is the AJ that needs to be fighting Usyk. That AJ, that Roadman AJ, because that's the only AJ that can beat Usyk. This Professor Joshua, President Joshua is going to get his ass whooped if he comes in with that mentality. I hope he switches on tomorrow at the weigh-in. I hope I see some sort of unified heavyweight champion responsibility of the heavyweight division on his shoulders. I hope I see that tomorrow, and not
you're gonna see smiles and handshakes tomorrow. I guarantee.
I flip and hope don't see handshakes and
you'll be seeing
smiling.
Handshakes, taps and handshakes. See you tomorrow, mate. Wish you all the best. That's what you'll be seeing tomorrow.
Sickening. That's absolutely sickening. I don't see.
That's what you'll be seeing tomorrow.
For that alone, Usyk should beat him. For that alone, Usyk should beat him, because that's not the approach he should be having with Usyk. He should be telling Usyk from the start. There's
no sorry to cut your finger. I'm sorry. There's no doubt in Usyk's mind he's going to win this fight. In my opinion, I'm not saying he will. I don't think he will. But to me, there's almost zero doubt in Usyk's mind that what Anthony Joshua brings to the ring really is nothing that he's never seen before. Now, obviously, when he gets hit with the right hand from Anthony Joshua, I think that's going to be a completely different ball game. And by the way, let me ask you this: what do you think out of 10 are the chances of this fight actually being a stinker? I've just got it in my head, right? That this fight might turn into AJ versus Joseph Parker, where Usyk will try and close distance. So I think Usyk's going to try and work at short and mainly in the pocket, right? And I think Usyk's going to slip, slide, and take angles, right, and try and fire. I don't think Usyk's going to ride on the back foot. I don't think you're going to see Usyk skirting around the ring behind the jab. I think he's going to try and use angles and work at close quarters. But that's a different story. But what do you? I think that what could happen is that Usyk might start okay, might start well, but it might be that when he takes that first solid shot from AJ, right, that he does go into his shell a bit, and he might be content to sort of survive or sort of blah blah blah. And I'm thinking there's a chance we might actually see a rerun of Parker and AJ. What do you think about that?
I think that when Usyk gets hit on the chin, he's going to understand that the heavyweight champion of the world hits very hard. I remember Pulev getting hit so hard he wanted to run out the ring.
And turn his back. That should have been stopped, by the way, because he turned his back in the middle of the ring. That probably should have been stopped.
You imagine a man of Pulev, he's a hard man. He gets hit with that right hand.
Yeah.
Right? That right hand there, if he can hit Usyk with that right hand. Listen, Usyk got hit by Witherspoon in that. Just look at his reaction that first round when he gets hit by Witherspoon. He didn't like it. Look at the second round when he got hit by Chisora. Did not like it at all. And if Joshua hits him, who's heavy-handed, if he hits him, by the way, I spoke to Stacey McKinley yesterday, and he said that Joshua is still boxing like an amateur, and had he come to America, they'd get him throwing proper right hands. They said he doesn't know how to.
What does he mean by that? Can you explain what he means by that?
He says he doesn't throw his punches properly, and he throws a lot of punches and leaves himself exposed when he throws punches. So when he throws he turns his right hand over, he leaves himself exposed. He's throwing the shots. You see, something like Vladimir Klitschko, when he throws his right hand, when he turns that right hand over, he's not in a position to get hit himself. Joshua, on the other hand, Joshua is best when he boxes. Joshua's most vulnerable when he engages.
Well, that's when he's been hurt. Yeah.
Right. You look at all the time.
In the middle of punching.
Yeah, in middle punching. So punching in between Joshua, and that's when Joshua's on the attack. That's when he's most vulnerable. When he actually boxes, he's okay. But it's when he decides to think, right, I'm going for you. I'm going to have a go. That's when he gets tagged. That's when he gets hurt. And I'm telling you now, if he gets hurt by Usyk, by one of them straight left hands, it'll be 4 or 5 punches on top of him, just like the Ruiz fight. That's how I knew Ruiz was going to knock him out the first time round, because Usyk's got that same sort of flurry. He hits you with a shot and then...
Hold on. Let me push back on you on that. Usyk, though, does he really have the same killer instinct as Andy Ruiz? Because the bottom line of it is, Usyk had Derek Chisora hurt in that fight, and for me, he didn't show killer instinct and put his foot on the gas.
What happened in that fight is that he was blowing hard. He was blowing out his ass. That's why he couldn't stop Chisora, because he was tired. And a lot of people saying Usyk's got a great gas tank. No, he hasn't, because he spent most of the time trying to keep away from Chisora, and that's why his gas tank went. You ask Bashir, his gas tank went down, and that's the reason why he was unable to finish Chisora, because he was worried about his own gas tank. That's what happened in that fight. Okay. Remember, going into this fight with Chisora, a lot of people don't know is that Usyk was questioning his weight. He wasn't happy with his weight when he fought Charles Witherspoon. So he said, look, I need to put more weight on. I'm too light. So now he's gone and put more weight on for the Chisora fight, and now he's put more weight on to fight Joshua. When a guy puts on more weight, it usually means that they're not looking to move around the ring, but they're looking to hold their feet, and you have more weight to absorb punches. That's what happens when they bulk up that way. It isn't for speed or mobility. It's for being able to stand in the trenches in a long fight. That's what happens. So it makes him, they say, more durable. They've got to put more. And you look at someone like Andy Ruiz, who lost weight when he fought Areola, and you saw as soon as he got clunked with a good right hand, he was on the floor because he lost weight too quickly. Now with Usyk, has he packed on more weight? Is that story or is that fact? If it's fact and he comes in 230, 240, well, he's got a problem, especially if the fight goes late, because he was blowing out his ass in the Chisora fight. So, you know, it's going to depend on that weight of Usyk. If he comes in 217, 220, that's an excellent weight for him. He'll still have mobility and still be able to outmaneuver Joshua in that way. But if he comes in heavier than that, I'm going to sway heavily to Joshua.
All right.
By the way, just want to give you some news here. From what I understand from Stacey McKinley, you might not want to hear this news, but Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson are agreed to fight in November. The contracts have been signed. according to Stacey McQuinley. Don't quote me on that.
Wow. Hey, do you know that's going to be on Triller? Do we know? We assume it's going to be on Triller.
I believe it's going to be on Triller. Yes,
it has to be because of the money.
Yeah, November.
Wow.
So I understand. So that's what
I think. But I just say, I thought Mike Tyson looked very good in his comeback fight against Roy Jones. By the way, I didn't have a problem with him at all. I mean, he's not the same Mike Tyson, but for a 50-year-old guy, I mean, if you look at the difference between him and Holyfield, Jesus Christ, miles away.
Yeah, but it was talking. Even McKinley spoke about that. He says that Mike's body is built for boxing. He says certain fighters are built for boxing. Their bodies are built for boxing, which means they can go on like Mike. He can go on. He's still got that explosive punching power. Evander Holyfield was very much, and he did say that Holyfield was up to his eyeballs in PEDs, and Mike knew it, McKinley knew it, everyone who's close to Holyfield knew that Holyfield was on the old PEDs as well. He even broke it down as to how Holyfield moved from 185 pound up to almost 220 pounds. So he broke it down in an interview. It's a very in-depth interview. He slammed the Porter versus Crawford fight. As you know, Riddick Bowe's pulled out of his fight now with Lamar Odom as well.
I've also got some breaking news for you, Ingram, about a fight.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
This is a big fight. Demetrius Andrade and Jason Quigley might be getting it on the zone.
Oh, wow.
There you go. How you feel about that? You might want to ring up Stacey McKinley and tell him that. He'll want to know at this time as well. He wouldn't mind if you rang him up here. What is it? 6 o'clock US time right now. Tell him that Demetrius Andrade is going to be fighting Jason Quigley. Just let you know that.
But one thing he did say, which I was really happy with, he's gonna take Riddick Bowe in and give him a role as a trainer. I'm really happy to hear that. So Bowe's going to be back in boxing. I'm really happy to hear that. I'd rather Bowe be in boxing for using his boxing knowledge than him out there boxing to make money. So that's a positive as well.
Before we go, I'm going to leave it to you. Ingram, just give me this prediction of what you think is going to happen. And let me quickly say this. Rob McCracken, one of the things he did say today in his interviews that I saw, it doesn't look like AJ is going to steam in. He says, basically, I'm going to lightly paraphrase, but the way I interpreted what Rob McCracken is saying... Say it slowly.
Say it slowly.
I can't do it like
really slow.
I can't do it like you can. But I tell you... I can't do it like you can, but what I can say is it looks like AJ is going to be quite cautious early on, and he basically said that. But I mean, I think AJ is going to be committed to cutting the ring off, and boxing him in. But he stressed the importance of sort of not steaming in and getting caught with any counters early. But give us a view on what you think is going to happen on Saturday night.
I think Hansby is going to be key in this fight for Usyk. I think AJ's always been vulnerable on the left-hand side. And if Usyk nails AJ, there could be a new champion. If Usyk nails AJ, I swear, because I don't like the way this guy's operating. He's reminding me of the whole Usyk thing all over again. I hope to God that is just he's just doing a lot of acting, and he's going to switch on at weigh-in. If I don't see him switch on at weigh-in, I'm running down to the bookies and putting money on Usyk.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. If he goes to that weigh-in tomorrow and he's still smiling and touching gloves and all that crap, I'm gonna put money on.
100%. I'm telling you, 100%. Put money on that. There'll be dap-ups of the world. I guarantee you. These two, I promise you. These two, you know what we call it? We call it the hood shake, where you do that sort of, you do the shoulder bump and then you do the little handshake at the end. Yeah. That's what these two will be doing, innit? These two will be doing the hood shake at the end of the fight, and I guarantee it'll be best of luck for tomorrow. Best man wins, guaranteed.
That's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. And do you know what? I really wish would happen. If AJ were to lose, sorry AJ fans, but if he loses to Usyk in the fashion I think he may lose to Usyk, and they try and go for that automatic rematch. I open the automatic rematch. Usyk does the same thing again. And then it goes on and does what he has to do afterwards, because I'm sick and tired of these automatic rematches. I really am.
I think we spoke about that earlier on. It is a bit bizarre that as he's having to do that. I'm going with AJ to win, but I mean it's funny. I mean, I keep saying last question, but I asked this to Sunny Singh, and we'll ask this now. Do you think? I think obviously Anthony Joshua is a world-class boxer. But what level do you think? Do you think like we've got it wrong, and that this guy really is like a once in a generation heavyweight, Or do you think it's just like he's just like a world-class fighter? He's a great fighter. He's a world-class fighter. He's one of the best fighters in the world today. Does that make sense? Because it seems like you can't be in the middle. I get in trouble for being a guy who I just think Anthony Joshua was a world-class fighter. You know, I think definitely one of the 2 best heavyweights in the world. But when like it comes to like he would beat Lennox Lewis, or when it comes to he's one of the best fighters of the last 20, 30 years, or he's the best fighter of the last 20, 30 years, and that's when I start to switch off. And it gets me in trouble with the fanboys. So what is it? Have we got it really wrong about this guy? Are we just being haters? Do we just want to see him are we sort of preying on his downfall? Or have his fanboys got it wrong? Is he good? Is he really good, but just not as good as they think he is?
I think he's a guy that has a lot of potential. And as long as he's with Rob McCracken, he'll always be a guy that's just got potential. And that's what it is. He's got so much untapped potential. As long as he stays with Rob McCracken and he stays with Matchroom, that's exactly what it'll be. A guy with so much potential who could fight so much better. But he's still boxing like an amateur. And that is the problem I have with Joshua.
Let me just say one thing. The knives were out for Rob McCracken, right? After the Andy Ruiz loss. If he was to get beat by Oleksandr Usyk, he might as well not even show up in the morning. Because the knives were absolutely out for him after that Ruiz loss. You know?
Well, he'll just say afterwards, he'll go, this will be Rob, he'll go, you know, well, we knew that Usyk was a world-class fighter, and he's proved it, you know. There's this for us to go back to the drawing board. And
Ingram, we've got someone who wants to come on here. I don't know if James, I hope you're not a troll, because you know it's not gonna last very long. But let's see what he wants to say. James, you've got me and Ingram here. You want to ask the questions to Ingram? Now's your time, or speak your piece.
Hey Ultra, I just wanted to say I've been listening to you for about 30 minutes now, and you're a whining little bitch.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. But guess what? Your mum likes my voice. Now, let's move on from that.
Okay, go ahead.
That's all right. No, I don't mind about that. It's all good. It doesn't matter. It's all good.
Okay.
Sensational. No, I don't mind.
Do you know what it is?
Do you know what it is, Ingram? Do you know what it is?
Free press. Free press.
They all listen to the show. And that's the funny thing, isn't it? Like, you think these guys have the basic common sense that if you don't like something, just switch off, right? If you don't like something, just switch off. But, you know, these guys are so freaking stupid, right? He'll literally be sitting there, right, with Potland in his hand, with a sock over his cock, literally listening to every freaking word that I'm saying. And they'll be listening right now as well. Be tuned in, huddling over now, going, oh, I wonder what Ultra's saying about me. I wonder what Ultra's saying about me. Do you know what I mean? Like, these people are, like, super, super weird. But it goes with part and parcel.
It goes with the territory. And you know what? Maybe you say he says that, but maybe, you know, he's probably one of your biggest fans. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
You'd be surprised. These guys, you'd be surprised because some of them, they say these things for a bit of a laugh and a joke, right? Because sometimes they're nervous and they don't really want to say, you know what, you've got a great show. It's difficult to say that. But some of these guys, they actually like what you do and they like your show and they just want to kind of, you know, so maybe he might actually like your show. He might actually like your show, you know. Stranger things have happened. I've had some real people on my show that have not particularly like what I've had to say, and then afterwards have been donating money to the channel. So, I mean,
I guarantee you'll be tuning in. They always tune in. That's the funny thing. Throughout multiple different places on YouTube, they always tune in. When you ban them, they come back on another account after you ban them. You ban them and they beg to come back, and just you just believe. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. The stuff that we
I've had them all. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's all right. I mean, for me, I think that's probably enough to call it a day. I think.
Okay, fair enough. I wish Usyk and Joshua all the best. I hope this weigh-in tomorrow is better than the press conference. I really do.
I think the press conferences have been. They've been. I just don't understand it. And you know, whenever I hear people talk about crowd sizes, that's when I switch off. You know, like I know crowd size, atmosphere, and stuff. I know it means something to a degree. But when I hear people start putting an overemphasis on they're going to be 60,000 people, it's going to be great. Like, you know, my ass does start to tweak a little bit because I do start thinking things like, well, you know, hold on a minute, like, you know, I'm watching this on pay-per-view. How many people are in the arena? Right, it means nothing to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't care how many people are in the arena or whether people are cheering loudly or not. That has no basis to me whether this will be a good fight or a competitive fight. Do you know what I mean? unlike you, I want to hear some interesting things in the press conference. I want to learn something new about the fight that I haven't learned before. And I just think it's been a massive failure. We've had no information. Do you know this? Listen to this, right? We've had no information, right? I know that both camps have been quite secretive, but we've had no information about who the sparring partners are, who they're sparring, what they're working on. And we've had this information for previous AJ fights. We've known who the sparring partners are. We knew that he was working with Angel Fernandez as a secondary coach, right? And he wasn't just working with McCracken. We got all kinds of info in the past about AJ's camps and this and that, and some of the stuff he was working on. We've had literally next to no info about Andy Joshua, what's been going on in his camp, Usyk, what's been going on in his camp. I just think from a journalistic perspective, like, it's been a total failure by the media to sort of get out any meaningful information about this fight for the boxing fan.
Here's some information for you. AJ's chief sparring partner, Martin Bakole, was sparring with Usyk. That was his sparring partner, just to let you know that. That's one of the...
Well, hold on a minute. So I know Bakole was sparring with Usyk. So is Bakole Usyk's chief sparring partner?
Well, I believe he was Usyk's chief sparring partner.
So what, Billy Nelson's getting the secrets then?
Jesus, I don't know.
I'm looking for this guy, So there you go. So what? Bakole went out to Ukraine. I suppose they did. And Ukraine. Okay.
We was sparring with him from the Ukraine. Yes, I believe he was one of the sparring partners that was being used.
See, I don't think that's bad at all, because these sparring, you're never going to get like an AJ replica. People will say, "Oh, we sparring Bakole," but who's he going to get? What are you going to do? I've heard Anthony Joshua sparring amateurs. I've heard Anthony Joshua is sparring. For some reason, somebody's making comments online saying Anthony Joshua is sparring a lot of amateurs.
You know why he's sparring a lot of amateurs? A, because amateurs are cheap or doesn't have to pay anything for them. And secondly of all, the reason why he's using amateurs is because he's at the GB setup.
Right.
So that's why he's using the amateurs. I will say this much, two things. First of all, Bashir was explaining to me that back in the day, if you were heavyweight champion of the world, your chief sparring partner went nowhere. You paid him extra to keep his ass at home. So that was one of the mistakes AJ made, allowing Bakole to even cross over and train with Usyk. That should never have been happening. But they could have said that Usyk was being used as a spy, Bakole was used as a spy, but Bashir said that's something that he should not have done. And secondly, why is it that every time they talk about Anthony Joshua, he's a work in progress? He's a work in progress. Anthony Joshua is a work in progress. He's still learning on the job. How many more fights does he have to learn on the freaking job? He's unified heavyweight champion of the world. He's fought in Povetkin. He's fought in Pulev. What he's fought Klitschko. How many more fights does he have to be considered a experienced heavyweight? Is he an experienced heavyweight, or is he learning on the job?
Do you know what? I didn't even know Martin Bakole was. Of course he's right-handed. Sorry, someone said something about Bakole and it completely threw me. All right. Well, listen, I'm out because that's nearly 3 hours on the stream for me. Who's Bashir picking quickly? Just tell me. Who's he picking?
He's gone with Joshua by knockout within 7 rounds.
Wow. Any particular reason for that? Did you say too big, too strong?
I think it was along the lines of too big, too strong, plus of the way he's fought against Witherspoon, the way he's fought against Chisora. That's what he said.
We'll have to wait and see. If AJ wins, I'm going to give AJ credit. I'm not going to, turn around and say, he's just a cruiserweight, he's just small. Personally, if he wins the fight, it's not, it's not the same level as beating Deontay Wilder or somebody like that. But I think AJ will deserve credit if he wins.
Well, what would Rob McCracken think? Yeah, well, we worked, for 50 weeks in camp, and we put the work in, and Big Josh did the job, he did the job. That's what he's done, and he's gone to school and he's been practicing, and the boy's done good. Yeah. That's what something like Rob would say afterwards.
Well, we'll finish on jobs. Rob will be looking for a job down at I'm telling you. Listen, everybody wanted this guy out, or out for the first time. So, Rob, talking about jobs, let me tell you, Rob better get them job applications ready, because he'll be looking for a job if
the Americans don't rate Rob McCracken as a heavyweight trainer. They rate him as a middleweight trainer and a lighter weight trainer, because that's what he was as a fighter. But they don't rate him as a heavyweight trainer. Miss Stacey McKinley broke it down completely as to why he didn't rate McCracken as a trainer. And it's like a boy. He's like a boy, basically. play. You got a guy who's produced 35 world champions. He's a heavyweight specialist in Stacey McKinley versus Rob McCracken. What's Rob McCracken's heavyweight history? I say, yeah, well, he's trained Josh, but he's trained Josh to get beat up by a fat boy. That's what it is. He got beat up by a fat boy, and he could now get beat up by a cruiserweight. And the fact that you're saying this fight is 50-50, would you say that Usyk versus Mike Tyson would have been a 50-50 fight?
No, but I don't think, no, to be fair, I don't think this fight is a 50-50 at all. I think this fight is solidly, to me, I'd say it's a 70-30 AJ. Easy, for me. 70-30. I would agree with what Bashir said. I think that if you look at Usyk's performances against Chisora, Witherspoon and Bellew, I don't think you can look at those performances and say, based off that, which we have to be realistic, that he's got a really great chance to beat Anthony Joshua based off that. Okay. But on the ring, as you know, in the ring on the night, boxing's on the night. Anything can happen. At 10:30, 11 p.m. on a Saturday night, anything can happen. Might be a clash of heads. AJ might get cut. AJ's arm might fall out of his socket. AJ might not feel good in the run up to the fight. He might have a few problems. Might feel the pressure a bit. Usyk's game plan, Usyk might just, it's on the night, AJ might not be able to figure out the angles. He might not be able to figure out the foot. Me personally, I think the footwork, and again, I think this fight, right, potentially, and I'll leave it at this, I think that, when we did the technical preview yesterday, and we discussed it very, quite a lot of granular detail, I think the similar-ish things that Usyk needs to do. Not entirely, but a lot of those things are quite similar to what actually Billy Joe Saunders needed to do when he got in the ring against Canelo Alvarez, right? Yeah. Canelo Alvarez was the big guy. Canelo Alvarez was going to be the aggressor, the come forward guy. Canelo Alvarez was going to look to cut off the ring, throw a lot of right hands, speed Billy Joe Saunders with a straight right hand to the body early on. So, Canelo using double jab, back Billy jab onto the back Billy jab in lines onto the ropes, and then start firing left hooks, right hands to the body, and things like that. I think Anthony Joshua's going to fight in a pretty similar way, actually, when he fights Oleksandr Usyk. And we spoke about Billy. The only chance that Billy had against Canelo was to use the foot speed, because I think Usyk's going to have a lot quicker feet than Anthony Joshua. And I think the thing about Usyk, I've said before, it's not just the foot speed, right? It's not just the foot speed, it's the fact that he hides the angles behind jabs, and he hides the angles behind feints. So as a southpaw, that you want to get your lead foot on the outside of the orthodox, right? Anthony Joshua will know that Usyk's going to try and do that. But it's how Usyk does it. He's very clever. He'll throw a double jab, right? And it'll be nothing jab. He'll throw like two little taps, right? And you'll think, what the fuck was that? But the point is, behind those two taps, he shifted over to his right 1 or 2 steps. Now he's got you at an advantageous angle, right? Now he can start getting his shots off and things like that. So if Anthony Joshua struggles with the footwork, right? Because Usyk's angles will be able to take away his power if he's able to fight his once-in-a-lifetime game plan, right? If Usyk's able to do things like shift over to his own right-hand side, that takes away the angle for Anthony Joshua's right hand. That's what all southpaws look to. That's every time I got in the gym and sparred all that's like go too tall, for southpaws. You go too tall is to always step to your right. Always step to your right. Try and get your lead foot on the outside, because that enables you to land the jab in the left hand, but it takes away the angle, for the orthodox to land their right hand at you, right?
What about the left hook?
Yes. Now listen, that's what we said about Anthony Joshua as well. We said, and I said yesterday's preview, if you're around, and Usyk will do that, by the way. If you look at all of his fights, he's constantly moves to the right. Gassiev, he did that all night long, and Gassiev wasn't able to figure it out. But Gassiev, I think, was the shorter fighter, possibly with a little bit less reach, and I think that's what did him in that fight. But couldn't stop Usyk moving to the right and circling away from that right hand. Anthony Joshua's going to be different. The left hook's going to be a really important shot for Anthony Joshua, because of two things, in my opinion. One, like I said before, southpaw tries to move to his right-hand side to get away from the right hand, bring him back into place, throw the left hook, check him into place with the left hook. You can follow up right hand off that. A lot of fighters do that. Left hook, follow up the right hand down the middle. See Anthony Joshua do that against Charles Martin, So I would
rather the left hook, right uppercut combination. Left hook, right uppercut.
Anthony Joshua is not... One thing I will say about him is he's not inventive when it comes to his offense, and that's the only question mark I have about him. Like, it's not like it's hard to say, because the guy's a unified champion, and I think the guy in a way is a total package, right? But he throws a very good check hook, right? But if you look at Anthony Joshua, right, for me, I think he telegraphs a lot of his shots. He doesn't fake. You look at how Usyk sets up shots, right? Usyk will set up shots. Usyk will do he'll throw like 3 little nothing jabs, right? Which mean absolutely nothing. He'll throw you 3 bait shots. He'll shift his feet over to the right. He'll set up a left hand to the body. Usyk constantly sets up his shots behind feints, bait shots, angles. He's a lot. He's very creative with
because
his
he's got a proper trainer in his corner.
Whereas Anthony Joshua is kind of, I mean, there's a lot of power behind those shots, and he's got intelligence, and he's a counter puncher.
Yeah.
But he's got us, do you know what I mean? With Anthony Joshua, you kind of know what you're going to get on the offense. I know when AJ gets into the ring, he's going to try and walk him down. He's going to box him off. He may throw the odd left hook. He's going to go jab right hand over the top. That will be the bread and butter. Will be the jab right hand. All he'll do is he'll try and cut Usyk off. He'll try and cut Oleksandr Usyk off. He'll try and mirror Usyk's footwork and cut him off and box him in. If he can't, might bring the left hook into play to straighten him out. But ultimately, it's going to be about straight right hands. Straight right hands to the body, the straight right hands down the middle. And I think that's exactly what he did against Charles Martin. Obviously, he finished Charles Martin with two straight right hands, right through the center, knocked Charles Martin down, finished him in the fight. And I think he'll do exactly the same. I think he'll use exactly the same tactic against Usyk. I think you'll see Anthony Joshua pushing forward, stepping to his left, trying to stop Usyk getting that outside angle. And I think AJ will be looking to set him up with the right hand all night long, lands one, and that could be the end of the story. I think that's how we'll fight. I don't think with Anthony Joshua, I don't think it's like, oh, how is he going to do this? Like, I don't think he's that kind of fighter where you're worried about where the shots are coming. Does that make sense? Some fighters you get in the ring, like Lomachenko, you don't know where the shots are coming from. Even with fighters like Floyd, right? Sometimes you didn't know what he was going to do. Is he going to throw the lead straight right? Or was he going to pepper you with a jab? Or was he going to throw that check hook that he used to throw? There was kind of like a number of tools he had in his arsenal. But I think with Anthony Joshua, I think I know what he's going to do when he gets in the ring. Sorry, carry on.
Here's a few things for you to consider. You do know that Harold the Shadow Knight, before he worked with at Dillian Whyte, he was working with Anthony Joshua in the rematch to the Ruiz fight. So is it potential because they're both in London? Could it be that Harold the Shadow Knight has been quietly working with Joshua again for this fight against Usyk?
Okay, carry on. Yeah.
There was another thing I was going to mention. Yeah, and the other thing is for people who are waiting for that unification fight between Deontay Wilder and Joshua, if you think that Wilder's going to win the fight, I've heard on the grapevine that Joshua has no intention of fighting Deontay Wilder after this fight, should he beat Usyk.
Yeah, but he wants to be fair to AJ, all he wants is Fury.
But if
you're saying even if Wilder beats Fury?
If Wilder beats Fury, Wilder beats Fury, he's got no chance of fighting Wilder. So there you go.
We'll have to wait and see. All right, Ingram, we'll catch up with you on Saturday night, man.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for everyone listening in, and keep locked in with Alter Check, and I'll be listening in as well. So all the best. Thank you very much, son. Appreciate it.
Man. We'll see you on Saturday night, man. All right.
Take care, bro. Take care.
Guys, that's it from me. I'm out. It's been a 3-hour stream. It was supposed to be an hour. I've had, the usual complainers coming on there. We've had some great conversation. Tomorrow night with Riku. Dave Lady saying it's Zhang in China. We've got Riku tomorrow night. The commission. Riku is, honest to God, Riku's box office, man. So we're getting Riku. And it's the weigh-in tomorrow. So we do the weigh-in. I'm not going to cover anything live on the weigh-in, but 7 o'clock, Riku. Fingers crossed. Peace out, guys.